gentlemen, tonight to sign in, anything you'd like to discuss is limited to what is on the special city council meeting agenda. Another couple minutes. Right. Okay, good evening, everybody. Welcome to tonight's Vermilion City Council public hearing. We have our committees meeting tonight, and as well as a special Vermilion City Council meeting. First item, Gwen, please call the roll.
Pat West, Ward 1. Greg Drew, Ward 2.
Here.
Drew Burley, Ward 3.
Present.
Jeff Lucas, Ward 4.
Present.
Brian Holmes, Ward 5.
Present.
Gary Howe, at large.
Present.
Steve Heron, President of Council.
Here.
Mayor Forthofer.
I'm here.
Amy Hendricks, Finance Director. Present. Tony Valerius, Service Director.
Here.
Chris Howard, City Engineer.
Here.
Chris Hartung, Police Chief.
Here.
Who do we have sitting in for?
Captain Derek, right here.
Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, so we have a third reading for public hearing tonight on ordinance 2025-14. An ordinance pursuant to section 1240.02, the codified ordinances of Vermilion, granting a land use zoning variance to Raymond Cassidy in order to allow for a business use zoning variance in the A1 agricultural zoning district located at 2110 Vermilion Road, Vermilion, Ohio. Would really like to speak regarding that matter?
Yes.
Good evening.
Raymond Cassidy, 210 Vermilion Road, Main Ohio. I have some notes here that maybe probably everybody doesn't even know what my business is about, so.
Okay, why don't you tell us what your business is about and tell us what you want us to do?
Yeah. Basically, I want to start a dog daycare and an overnight boarding service. I want to keep my business small though, because I don't want to, I'm just not looking to start a big business, and I'm retired, and I just want to have like something I can make money from my home, like and collect Social Security. So that's kind of why I'm doing this. Okay. And I love animals. This has been my passion my whole life. So I think the laws in Vermilion says you're allowed to have 4 animals, 4 dogs. I just want to have like 7. I have 2 of my own, so it would be 5 customers per day, per week, per day basically. So I want to provide a high quality service rather than just like having a bunch of dogs at the house and just don't, not taking care of them. I don't want to have caged dogs. Well, they will have to be caged at some point, at some different times of the day, but mostly I like to be able to work with them and just have them like a free range type situation. I would have the proper insurance that it would take for liability insurance. And I have a area of my home, it's heated and air conditioned. So the dogs would be kept mostly indoors, especially in the winter. So the noise level of them barking really wouldn't be a factor. I don't really have any real close neighbors. Is there any questions anybody has of anything I've said or?
You answered when you answered the last one about the heating and air conditioning.
Oh, okay, yeah.
That was my question. Anybody else have any questions?
Good job.
Good job.
Could you share with us a little bit about your fencing?
Yes, well right now I currently have like, I don't know the exact measurements, it's probably 100 foot by 80 foot of a chain link fence already that's at my house. It's been there for a long time. And then I just want to add like maybe another section for like, I want to have an obstacle course type situation where the dogs can go in there and you know, I can work with them and keep, I really want to have like a quality service where people would want to bring their dog to have me take care of it.
Thank you.
Are you going to be training the dogs, or is it
Well,
just your?
no, I mean, that's an optional thing I'd like to have if people wanted me to, but it's mostly more of like, you know, people that have a busy lifestyle or whatever, and they need to have somebody watch their dog.
And so that obstacle course would be just for fun?
Yeah, I mean, I'm gonna tell everybody that if they stay there, like, would you want me to use your dog out here? You know, let them work, you know, with other dogs and stuff. If they don't, then that's their option. But I'd like to be able to offer that to people. I think they probably would want that.
But you're not certified as a?
No,
Okay.
I don't know if there is any certifications as trainers or not. There may be, but I'm not.
Well, I'm
sure.
thinking rescue dogs and stuff, but I guess.
Oh, that's sort of like if you're a rescue service or not a rescue service, like work with the ASPA or something like that. But I'm not really looking to do that because, like I said, I'm not looking to get big. I just want to have a small company and provide a really high quality service.
I spoke with you, Mr. Cassidy, and
Yes, you, Brian.
you mentioned possibly having a grooming service as well.
Yes, like if I actually have the place is big enough to where if one of my customers wanted to have their dog groomed, I could have that done there also. But it's not really something I'm like to be advertising. Hey, come bring your dog here to groom. I'm looking to do that.
Would you have additional employees as well? Or
Not at the start. No, I want to try to do it mostly all myself.
And remind me again, when did you say you wanted to get this started?
Around December.
All right.
Go ahead.
Ms. Valeris, did you have any comment on this or regarding?
No, I mean, I think land use variance was appropriate because of the extension of the fence. The fact that it could create noise due to dogs outside, but other than that.
And that's kind of what I'm getting at. I've received a couple phone calls, like I told you, from neighbors and letters from neighbors having some opposition, and I believe there's one or maybe two folks here tonight that would like to speak about their concerns.
Yes.
So, and again, my concern is it, you know, goes from 5 dogs to 7 to 10 to more, and that's my concern.
Sure.
Again, that puts stress on the city to get somebody out there to constantly check on it, phone calls coming in. So those are my concerns as well, along with the noise issue, again, insurance issues, but that's on you in
Right.
providing the correct insurance.
Yes, well, yeah, I really understand the need to keep, you know, you want to stay within what you say you're gonna do, and I definitely, I'm not looking to make a big business. And as far as my neighbors, I pretty much know my neighbors, and I don't think they would have any problem, because there's only one neighbor that doesn't have any dogs. My neighbor to my right has 2 dogs, neighbor over here has 3 dogs. The neighbor next to him has 2 dogs. So their dogs are barking more than mine are, honestly.
And
But nobody, I think people like it for the dogs to be barking because, you know, it deters people from walking around and stuff. And, you know, that's just my opinion, but.
All right.
I'd like to hear about your sort of qualifications and experience in running a business like this.
I've never ran a business like this. I've been doing construction work my whole life. But I'm at the point where I'm gonna be able to retire from that. So this is more just starting something new for me. But I've had animals my whole life, and I really work well with them. And having 5 dogs really ain't that too difficult to take care of. I don't
Until they started attacking each other, or
Well, that's with anything. But if you understand how you have to be the pack leader for the dogs, if they will respect you, they won't be fighting. And they're not always going to be together, you know, when any new dog comes in, you don't just put them in with the other ones. You put them in a side cage and see how they do, and eventually, if they look like they're gonna be doing okay, then you put them in with the other ones, and you gotta really watch them.
You're in the corner of Cooper Foster and Vermilion Road?
Yes.
Okay. Pretty decent sized property.
Yeah, I got close to 3 acres there, yeah. And my neighbor on the side, he's got like 15 acres, I think. The guy, the sign company, I think of his, yeah, McQueen Sign Company. He's on my left side. And then there's a few neighbors over farther, but they're over past 300 foot, I believe.
At nighttime, where are the dogs gonna be housed?
Inside.
Inside your residence, or do you have it
Yes.
attached, like a separate?
No, I have, the house that I live in has, it used to be one big house with an attached garage, but over the years, whoever had it before I did, they took out the garage door, you know, opened it, and they made that whole garage into a bedroom and a bathroom and 2 big walk-in closets. They got 9-foot high ceilings. It's probably about, I don't know, 30 foot by 20 foot. Just, I'm probably guessing at it, how big the room is. So I was gonna put like separate cages in there, and then just have a doorway that leads out to the fences in the back.
They're gonna be crates, like plastic crates, or you're gonna?
No,
make,
no, I'm gonna actually have
fencing?
like probably, I'm gonna make my own cages. They're gonna be probably like 5 by 5 by 5, because I have enough room in my room to make like 5 cages.
What kind of material are you gonna use to make those?
More than likely, it's gonna be chain link fence and like plexiglass.
So like you'd see like an animal shelter? Like a,
So,
Cage.
yeah, some of them, well, depend, some of them have brick walls and stuff. This is more like a home, like has a concrete floor, but it has drywall walls.
you have a drain in there?
I do not have a drain, but what I'm having is an outside area for the dogs to go outside and use the bathroom, or I can train them to use the things inside the cage if you have to, if they don't want to go outside. But I think most dogs will want to go outside. That's just how they don't like peeing where they sleep.
I have a question. What's your liability insurance like?
I don't have it right now. I haven't got it because I don't really have a business to get it for. But you just have to go there and tell them what you want. I don't know what the requirement is. Like for my construction business, I have to have like $1 million worth of coverage. So I don't know. I don't think. Sorry.
I'm thinking about the dogs getting hurt themselves.
Yes.
Okay.
I'm sure there's insurance for that. I really don't have it now, but I would make sure that I would have it before. I don't know what. Most dogs are worth what, $10,000. Man, I mean that's if you're a purebred dog. So I don't think there's like a huge amount of money that's involved in that. But I could be wrong. I'd have to really. I hadn't researched that much yet.
More questions from council? One more question for the administration. I think I know the answer, but Tony, if we got complaints and you needed to inspect the inside of this kennel, you just couldn't go there and demand inspection, right? Potentially you have to get a search warrant or some kind of court order to go in there, right?
Potentially, yeah.
Does the city require any kind of insurance being filed with the city?
No.
A question for Tony, would he need an additional variance to do grooming?
Home occupation permit.
If you just wanted to be a groomer,
Well, he wants to run the kennel, so say that it goes forward, then he wants to do the grooming, but he have to come back for the grooming.
no, I don't think so.
Any other questions from anybody? All right.
I think it might have some.
Okay, you can have a seat if anybody else would like to come up and speak regarding this.
Thank you, everybody.
Thank you, Mr. Wilson.
Hello, Eric McQueen, 2010 to 2060 Vermilion Road. I'm 55. I've lived in that neighborhood my entire life, pretty much. And I don't think it's a good fit. Their neighbors across the street that have dogs that bark nonstop. If there's someone back at the shop making any kind of noise, they're barking continuously. I couldn't imagine living next door to something like that. I wouldn't. From what I know about residential insurance, if a tree falls on your house and it's your neighbor's, guess what? Your homeowner's insurance pays for that. I'm not 100% sure about dogs, but I guess it's probably gonna be the same thing because it happened on your property. I spoke with a neighbor, lady across the street with her kids that I grew up with, and she's in agreement. It's residential for a reason. We're there because my dad had a shop when it was Brown Elm Township before it was the city of Vermilion. I don't see how you can just go ahead and change that to not residential. I don't see how you're gonna put cages in a house and be able to get rid of what's left over from any animal. I don't have anything against the gentleman at all. He's only been there maybe 2 years. He's always been nice to me, but it just does not seem like a good fit for the neighborhood whatsoever. Anyone have any questions?
Thank you. Anybody else like to speak on this?
Jean Anderson, 3240 Edgewater Drive. Just a point of clarification. Mr. McQueen said it's a residentially zoned area, and in the ordinance it says A1 agricultural zoning to business. So I would like to know, is it a residential area going to business, which makes a difference as to, 5 dogs or 7 dogs versus doing that in an agricultural zone? Because there's all sorts of animals and things allowed in an agricultural zone. Could you clarify that for me?
It's agriculture, is it not, Mr. Valerius?
It's agricultural, but primarily it's for single-family homes, for farms, churches. I can't think of all the permitted uses, but commercial businesses aren't permitted.
And doesn't it not state that dogs are not considered agricultural?
I don't know if it specifically said.
Okay.
They talk of livestock.
Livestock, okay.
Could Mr. Cassidy have several cows on his land right now as is?
You could have cows on this land, as long as the stables or manure piles are at least 100 feet from any property line.
So just right out of the gate, it's an agriculturally zoned piece of property, which allows animals. And dogs are certainly a lot less than cows and goats and chickens and all those kinds of things that they have on that property. And I would just like to applaud the gentleman. I don't know him, I've never met him, but for coming forward early on and trying to get a variance and a blessing for this little small business, rather than going ahead with it and asking forgiveness later. Anyways, I just applaud him for coming forward and making his wishes known to everybody. So that's it.
Any other comments? Okay, thank you. This matter will be addressed during our reading of the ordinances tonight. So we'll now go on to our committee meetings and begin with our Health and Safety Committee.
Thank you, Council President. Good evening, everybody. Be safely we're open. And we'll start with the Fire Chief's report. And we have Captain Bay sitting in for Chief Brown.
Good evening. Monthly incidents. In March, BFD responded to 28 calls for service. That's 87 calls for the year. That's a 40% increase from 2024. 38% of those calls this year were EMS related. Personnel, firefighters Lane, Stark, Meade, and Bartow are continuing with their firefighter 1 class through the Lorraine County Fire Chiefs Association. Firefighters Miles, Dodson, and Ramtham continue with their EMT basic class at EHOBE, and they will be done in June. Training, Miles and John Stark, or Greg Stark, I apologize, are enrolled in rope operations course at the Sandusky Fire Department, sponsored by Bad Day Training, and I believe that starts later this month. Several members took advantage of the free training provided by the Northern Ohio Fools Organization for their heavy rescue class in Norwalk. And BFT hosted a train-the-trainer course for emergency vehicle driving. Chief Brown, Fire Marshal Johnston, Lieutenant Smith, and Firefighter Stark will be continuing the process of ensuring our drivers' competency. That concludes our chief's report.
Thank you, Captain. Any questions for Captain today? All right. We'll move on to the police chief report. Chief Hartung. Welcome.
Good evening. We're getting ready, we got the state coming in for our leads audits and our 911 audits. Dispatcher Lulovix always does an exceptional job with it, always has very high marks. I don't expect anything a little less out of her this time, but anytime the state comes in, it's always a laugh riot, so we'll see how that goes. The U.S. Department of Justice issued a press release on April the 4th for a Bridgeport, Connecticut man charged with a child exploitation offense. I'll forward a copy of the press release to Gwen, but it came from a case that started in our city of a gentleman that was going from Airbnb to Airbnb and then engaging in sexual relations with juvenile females and then filming it and disseminating it in one of those not OnlyFans, it was another type one. But anyway, they started out here, we got wind of it, and then worked with the FBI. They went to Norwalk, and they went to Connecticut, and that gentleman was picked up and charged for the sexual exploitation of a minor on the federal charges. So Sergeant Holmes, Sergeant Rising did a great job getting the FBI involved in that, so we could track that stuff down. Worked out very well. The new cars are in. The new cars are lovely. The old cars are out. We are switching out some of the city uses some of the older cars for, you know, the court or when the building department or somebody needs something. So we're switching those out, stripping them out, and then we'll prepare them for auction, and then we will post when those items come up for auction if anybody wants to bid on those. We completed our CPR AD certifications. Chief Brown was generous enough to donate his time to certify the whole agency and conduct our CPR and AED training. It was exceptional. Everyone was happy. 850, we got it out today, unwrapped it, started prepping it, getting ready to be in the water for Memorial Day weekend. Always a good sign. Now that we've unwrapped 850, maybe it'll get warmer. I don't know, but spring's eternal. Safety Town this year is going to be June 9th to graduation date is going to be on Friday, June the 20th. If any members of council would like to attend the graduation and help out with the graduation, you are more than welcome to do so. It's a fantastic event, and again, Dispatcher Lulovix puts in a tremendous amount of effort. The community puts in a tremendous amount of resources to make that program happy. It's one of the highlights of our year. So put that on your calendar. If anyone, we are taking enrollments, applications, you get them at the PD or online, or you can talk to Katie to get any questions you may have answered. February 28th, the Pizza Hut was robbed. A gentleman came into the store with a handgun, got minor amount of cash, fled the area. We ended up tracking that individual down, and we got him in, I think it was Knoxville, Tennessee. So he was taken in custody. We indicted him on several charges, first-degree felony for the robbery with gun specifications on all the charges because he used a handgun. Knoxville got him, we got the handgun. The ATF has since decided they are more interested in the case than we are, so we're going to take a back seat to the ATF on the prosecution. But again, Sergeant Holmes, excellent job making that happen. Other than that concludes my report.
Thank you, Chief. Any comments, questions for the Chief?
Yeah, go ahead. Could you please repeat the dates of the graduation and the time?
It'll be June 9th to June 9th is when Safety Town starts, and then June 20th will be the graduation. I don't have the exact times. Usually we do like an 11 a.m. and a 1 p.m. because we have a morning session and an afternoon session.
Thank you.
Thank you, Chief. Good job, well done by all there. That concludes health and safety then.
Okay, Finance Committee will now come to order. Looks like there's 3 agenda items on the agenda: a general fund or financial update, 2026 tax budget resolution 2025 R-4, and then a review of ordinance 2025-10. Finance Director Hendricks, the floor is yours.
Thank you, Councilman Lucas. In the general update, I'm sure just as we are here, you're starting to see some additional press coverage on finalization of the federal COVID aid and ARPA funds, and the final financial reporting for that is due April 30th. We did submit ours last week, so we are in compliance. I checked all of the places online to make sure we weren't on any of the bad lists, and we're not. So if you see one of those, let me know. But we should be all well and good with that. And that was money that we used for, in that round, some upgrades to the water plant as well as the initial reviews of the wastewater treatment plant. Also, the ordinance 2025-12 that was passed at the meeting last week regarding the change to the income tax forgiveness was filed with Rita last week. I have not heard back from them since submitting that, but it's also it's their busiest time of year, so I'll follow up if I don't hear from them by the 1st of next week. Also, I added ordinance 2025-30 to the agenda, and that is to approve a transfer of $500,000 from the general fund to the streets fund 200 to offset the estimated lost revenue for the current year for that change in the tax forgiveness. And that concludes that section of the report. The 2026 tax budget, I did put that on just to see if there were any questions or changes. I did take $500,000 out of the revenue and expenses. I'm sorry, $600,000 out of the revenue and expenses for a full year next year out of Fund 200. Everything else remains the same with that. And review of ordinance 2025-10, just a reminder, that was placed on the agenda originally in response to the administration's presentation probably about a month ago, 6 weeks ago now, on some plans for supplementing things such as the street department and water distribution department with some equipment and upgrades with support from a $2 million transfer from the general fund. So that's that ordinance maintaining on the agenda is what that is.
Any questions for the Finance Director? Yes, sir.
Ordinance 10, was that the $750,000 transfer to the wastewater treatment plant?
Yes.
That's, which one's that?
2025-10,
Yeah.
that was a total of $2 million altogether. It was, am I thinking of the right one?
750,000.
Huh?
750.
Okay, that's right.
Yeah,
I was thinking it was all in one ordinance. Yeah, 752 wastewater.
Correct.
That's correct.
So I wanted to have some discussion about that. I don't know if this is the appropriate time. We'll have time to talk about it when we get to the ordinance. I'll leave that to Council President. We can talk about it now.
Yeah, that's on.
Okay. So, you know, I think it's a lot of money to transfer over. I'm not opposed to transferring a good chunk of that over. But I think there's some other programs that we kind of brought up in the past that we wanted to entertain. And one of them would be some funding for either a senior, I hate to say senior center, but senior programming. We lack any kind of programming or assistance for seniors in our city, and we've never really had the funding to do it. So I'd actually propose that we transfer at least $50,000 from that $750 into a fund to start thinking about and identifying ways that we can help our seniors that live in our community. Obviously, it's just moving the money into a different fund. If it doesn't pan out, we're not spending the money, it's still there. But I think, I'd like to work with the current administration, the next administration. It should be a goal of both and hopefully this council, to start tackling some of the issues that our seniors are facing and come up with some ideas that we can help them out. I don't have those answers right now. I think we need a committee to do that. And I think it's a very small portion of that money, that $750, to set aside. And listen, at the end of the day, it doesn't pan out and we can't come together and figure out a way to help our seniors that live in the city. The money's still there. We can reallocate it just as quick as, if we do something today. So, and I think Councilman Lucas also had some ideas as well.
Thank you, Councilman Drew. Yeah, an additional $50,000 for grant writing, that could certainly go a long way. And again, just putting it into a fund and then coming up with a way to use that money to grow money so that we in fact can maximize the opportunities within the grant space. There's really nowhere in the current administration that is assigned grant writing, and it could be an opportunity to bring monies in for expelling very little money out to convert it. So that's another area that I'd be interested in. Yes, sir.
Speaking of grant money, I shared it with Councilman Drew. AARP actually has a grant currently, and I don't have it. I have it, I've seen it. It's on my old phone, that's probably in Lake Erie right now. But there is a grant available through AARP for senior programming / center that's available. So again, I think it would be wise for us to, something to at least adventure or look into for our seniors. Absolutely.
Yeah, and that would be, to Jeff's point, Councilman Lucas's point, sorry. If we had some money allocated that we could pay somebody to write grants and go after those funds, that's what that chunk of money would be for. And then the other chunk would be a starting point for identifying some resources. It could be as simple as once a month we rent out the VO Clubhouse and we bring in our seniors and we bring in some partner agencies to provide services for them, get everybody together. I mean, it's something that small to start with, and it can grow. So I'd like to plant the seed and see where it takes us. So I don't know what we would need to do tonight to modify that. It sounds like we'd be okay if you want to transfer $600,000, $500,000 into that wastewater treatment fund, but we definitely would like to see $50,000 set aside for senior programming and another $50,000 set aside for grant writing. Listen, we're not spending the money. If it doesn't pan out, the money's still there. We can reallocate it. Another council can reallocate it. But I hope it's something our current administration and our next administration is interested in doing when they come on board.
What we could do is, I could go back and prior to the next meeting, determine what fund account numbers are available, establish those funds by ordinance, and then subsequently do those transfers based on the purpose statements that council wishes.
Sounds great.
Pardon me if you already said this, but what was the whole goal of transferring the $750 from the general fund to the fund 415? How do you guys plan on doing with that money? Again, I apologize if you already said it.
It's under 2510.
2510 just says the movement.
It just has the heading on there, though. I don't have.
I'm sorry, I thought that to offset the cost of future capital needs for wastewater operations. He's going to answer your question.
I want a little more specificity than just capital needs, and I know there's a certain thing, or, I appreciate it.
That's all it's written.
In the ordinance written.
What you provided to me for the ordinance, he wanted you to elaborate on it.
Right, and I don't have that language. in
You
front.
have, to offset the cost of future capital needs of the wastewater operations.
And that was Fund 415.
That was Fund 415 through a capital fund.
Right, that was, the, what's that, Tony? I'm drawing a blank now what it even was, it's been so long.
I also have no issue with keeping this tabled.
Yeah.
You have an answer for the next meeting. I don't disagree with what you said. Clearly, there's a reason why we picked that number 750. I'm just curious what the game plan was with that. Just a little bit more specificity.
Okay, that's
in
fine,
that, so.
that's fine. I haven't even looked at that since that last meeting.
For good.
It was my understanding, there wasn't any specific items or issues that we were gonna spend that $750 on. It was more of just put it in that bank account for future needs, because we know there's gonna be future needs, right? Is that your impression as well?
Yeah, that's what I got too. I'm just curious as
That's
to
what
to what
Tony
we
said. He
foresee
just
coming.
remembered
I don't see
as
any reason
well.
with moving the money around. Okay.
Any other questions?
I'm just thinking if she's going to, want me to prepare legislation to establish funds, say for grant writing or senior citizens, I think council should make a motion to have legislation prepared to establish those funds and just put that on the record.
Would be two separate motions, I would.
Yes.
I'll make the first motion to establish a fund to allocate $50,000 towards senior services, senior programming for residents of Vermilion. Second.
Any discussion?
Oh, any discussion? Gary?
That's good? Okay. Howe?
Yes.
Holmes?
Yes.
Lucas?
Yes.
Worley?
Yes.
Drew?
Yes.
West? Yes. Aaron?
Yes.
Motion carried.
I'll make a second motion to allocate $50,000 of funding for grant writing for the administration and council to utilize to hire and pay for grant writing services.
On an ad needed basis.
There you go.
A question, do we not already have somebody that does grant writing? Or-
No.
Wait a minute.
We need a
Wait a minute.
second.
We need
I'll
a
second it. Go ahead. Finish your question.
Currently, actually, council acts on several grant applications to be passed. Those that are done for the streets, those that are done for the parks, police department, fire department. Those are usually done by the departments themselves so far, and there have been quite a few that you all voted on. If you're talking about doing discovery for additional things that fall outside of those general areas, that's fine. I know Graham Hall does grant writing all the time. Actually, also, we're looking at grant writing through CDM Smith for the wastewater plant, as that becomes necessary. So we do write grants. If you're talking about grant writing at large or grant writing as needed, that would probably be another thing.
He is needed for, to search for grants.
Correct.
Is that kind of what you were saying?
Discovery, yes.
Discovery?
Experts in their own specific space.
I noted it. Ready?
Hey, real quick, if you don't mind. Could you just remind me what the last motion was for?
$50,000, to establish a fund for grant writing.
The last motion that we did. The last
That was
motion
for the senior programming.
Was it
50,000.
create the thing that, then this is for us to go out and expend the $50,000 to find somebody?
No, this is two separate issues.
I understand that.
It's
I just
to-
wanna make sure the first
It's
one
to
is-
establish the fund,
Mhm.
and he allocated 50,000 for each of those
Gotcha.
funds,
So this is the allocation.
and to establish the fund at the same time.
Okay.
Would we ever spend it? I don't,
Sure.
So we're gonna seek someone out to pay them to write a grant, or we're gonna pay them a percentage for getting us a grant?
I think that's to be decided, but there's gonna be a fund set up with some funds to research specific grants by which we don't have expertise in.
So does
So
that
let's just
language
say
have-
shoreline development. Do we have anybody specifically who's an expert in writing that particular grant? No. So we'd be in searching out someone with that set of expertise and utilizing that.
So I'm not against the whole grant writing thing. I just think maybe we need to spell it out. Like, I don't wanna say, here's $10,000, go write me a grant, and it's a flop, and you're like, well, thanks. I'd rather give them a percentage if they get it. So like, work harder for what we're gonna give you type of thing. So if you wanna be on a grant writing team, or you wanna be a part of writing grants for the city of Vermilion, you better be on your A game, and you go out, you seek the grant, you write it, and if you get $250,000, we give you 20 grand, or we give you 10 grand, or what have you.
That's one way of looking at it.
I don't know if that needs to be spelled out in what we're talking about before we vote on this.
Maybe, oh, go ahead, George.
I was gonna say, I too would prefer to have something in writing, and we can put this on here, we actually talk about it, as opposed to just doing it like that tonight, the first time we ever heard about that. I'm not opposed to any of these things.
I'm not either. I just make sure we're
I
covered.
think our goal is just to allocate the money, and then we can figure out, I guess, more of the logistics and dig a little deeper in how we're gonna, how the program's gonna work, right?
Correct.
You know, by no means are we spending this 50,000 today or tomorrow or next week, you know?
Can we do this to clean it up a little bit, peace of mind wise, and just establish the new accounts? And then at a later time, transfer the 50,000 once we kind of figure it out? I'm not opposed to putting the 50,000 over. I just kind of want to cover all of us and get most bang for our buck.
That's what I was gonna say. I would suggest, that we first establish the fund by legislation. Because if you say 50,000, say for grant writing, you gotta know who's gonna administer that. Is that gonna be the administration gonna be in control of that? So what we could do is we can establish the fund, and then I can put this on committee for their discussion.
Okay, that sounds
You
great.
guys are good with that?
Yeah.
One
So you need
perspective
to-
I might offer also is that I believe the finance director can correct me if I'm wrong, but if a fund or a category is established and the money goes in for dedicated to seniors or dedicated to grant writing, whatever, I'm not so sure if it's not used, you can just take that out and use it for something else. I think once it goes in there, it's in.
You can't repeal it?
Okay, council can reallocate the money, right?
My understanding is there's a potential it could take going to court to undo a transfer.
Another reason not to rush it.
So do you want to amend your motion just to establish the fund for senior program and establish a fund for grant writing?
I think the senior program's a done deal, it's already been voted on, so.
Oh, that's
I
right.
think, yeah, so we can't go backwards, but we can definitely,
You can,
establish the fund for the grant writing and then determine how much. Now, let me ask you this, can we establish a fund and then as grants come up, allocate a specific amount of money at that moment to that, into that fund to be a grant writer? Let's say we have the fund and in 5 months from now, we have a grant that we want to go after and we want to hire somebody that's going to be $4,000 to write the grant. Can then be then transferred into that fund at that point?
To be very candid, it would be much easier to administer, especially since you're going to have, it sounds like grants from for various types of ventures. If you just allocate money from the general fund at the time that you, and keep the expenditure in a line item for a grant writer, and just use it from there rather than trying to transfer money for random items along the way.
Sure.
That may or may not be, one grant may be related to seniors, one may be related to pollution. I mean, it could be all over the place. I think it probably would be easier than to just do it
Specific.
from the general fund
That's what I was thinking.
on an as-needed basis.
Okay.
Do we need to,
you can amend it however you want at this point. We have the 50,000, allocated 50,000 funds for grant writing. In establishing the fund, we've got a motion in a second.
I actually think under that scenario, it would be better to increase the general fund appropriation by $50,000 and allocate to grant writing, and that way you're not stuck with it in that, in a special fund if that venture doesn't take off. But
And you can do that per appropriation ordinance, by amending the appropriation ordinance, so you could do it and then they could vote on it at the next, whatever. Do you want to?
It's not like you need to make a motion to rescind.
Send it out.
You can
Just
just,
rescind this grant.
you can just withdraw your motion, so you
Yeah.
didn't vote on it.
All right, I'll withdraw my motion.
And Steve Heron, you will draw your second?
Yeah.
Okay. And then you can handle that with an appropriation ordinance.
All right. Good discussion. Any other questions or discussion?
Just one other thing, the 500,000 that you said you transferred for the shortfall in the tax,
I haven't actually transferred.
but it's on here, that's of the surplus that we have, correct?
Correct.
Okay.
Without any further questions, that will conclude the Finance Committee meeting.
And we'll open legislative. First item on here is a review of mobile food services, ordinance 2024-43, and I'll turn it over to Councilman Drew.
Yeah, thank you. So I got a call from, I believe is our only vendor in the city who's registered for mobile food trucks, and it's Hawaiian Ice, Jen. And she has some concerns and maybe some questions about our ordinance. Jen is the only person, I think the longest standing permit holder for mobile food trucks, and is the only permit holder at this time. So I asked her to come to council tonight and express her concerns to all of us, and so we could have a discussion if there's something that needs to be changed, and we'll go from there. So if you mind coming on up. If you could just tell us your name, your business address, and then kind of what your concerns are and your experience with our current ordinance.
My name is Jennifer Karras, and my business address is 13315 Meadow Lane, Vermilion, Ohio. And my business is Hawaii Ice. I would be here all night if I would tell you what I've been through the past 5 years operating in this city. I have now been forced to operate several different places, so I've actually been in 2 different states and about 11 different cities now. So I'm gonna try to go with what's written on my paper, keep it simple, stupid. I think I have a solution that's going to be able to help everybody. Because when I started this business, it wasn't just for myself, it was to help other people who wanna follow their dreams. I actually call it the dream truck. And it wasn't until I got here that I really realized I'm a food truck. Now, I did want to make sure I did everything legitimate, which is why I did come to all of you guys first when I opened. So my experience has been following the rules as I knew it, starting with you. And so I ask all of you here today just to realize I think really everything starts here and trickles down, because it feels like it's been made a witch hunt. Being that I am the only truck that is legally operating here at this point in time. So also, as the fact that I am a business owner in general, I think that this will be a good place to start. So we have around 11,000 in our community. The way that most people do operate is the number of trucks is actually based on like what your population can withstand, as well as events. So how many people attend these events? There's absolutely no reason why trucks should not be able to attend all events that we have here. Because really, we are a tourist town, so we should be catering to the tourists, and what brings more people in is diversity. And that's gonna help all of the businesses. We can all work together as a whole with each other. Also, speaking on diversity, so most events, most things that I do, the way that it works is first off, it's first come, first served basis. It's who is in good standings with the city. And then, you know, how many food trucks, how many dessert trucks, no compete, you know? We can do things that are different from the businesses that are in Vermilion, which is what I tried to do when I brought my business in, is be different and bring something new and exciting to the town. Let's see. I think that's really, I mean, in a nutshell, I think it's as simple as that. Yes.
Okay. Well,
Yeah, go ahead.
so really, you're being hampered by the condition or the part of the ordinance that says that there's a limitation on the kinds of events that you can go to. Am I hearing that correctly?
Yeah, at this point, I think you guys have made several positive changes, but I believe that at this present moment, yes.
Okay. 'Cause
And then I also would say, actually, I do have one other thing on here, that any, you know, any private businesses that would allow you to operate with them, that should be allowed. It's their property.
I thought the new
That is allowed.
ordinance says that.
I think
Okay,
it is allowed.
perfect.
Yeah.
But if you got rid of that one.
Yeah, and then
limitation,
just a
that would be
suggestion
okay.
too, because the other thing is, usually when it comes to private events specifically, there are reserved spots. So that's something, the one time out of the month that I was allowed, actually the spot that was given to me for Third Thursday when I didn't even know what Third Thursday was, you know, it's my spot, I pay for it, but I have to fight for it. I mean, I'm now doing 5 million other things, so I have to get here at a certain time, and really it's unsafe, to be honest, because I'm sitting there backing my truck in and out, waiting to try to get a spot. That, I mean,
should be there for you.
well, and yeah, for the public too, because really there should be a place for people to stand that's safe, so they're not gonna get hit by a car. So to say that I can just operate in any parking spot, you know, I mean, can you make that happen? Yeah. Is it really the safest thing to do? No.
Okay. I don't have any questions. Thank you.
You're welcome.
I believe the piece of the legislation that we changed is you can do any private event, you just can't sell to the public from that private event, correct?
No, like Third Thursday, Fish Festival, Woolly Bear.
No, I'm saying a private property venue, you can serve there, you just can't sell to the public that would walk up.
No,
Yeah, that was the way that it was written before. I believe it has been amended now.
currently, like, a business wants, like the bowling alley, let's say the bowling alley wanted her to have the truck there, she could pull in and serve. The question is, I think as we get closer to downtown, the Main Street area, at one point you were by the beach, and then that got taken away from you.
Yes.
I think your other issue is on Third Thursdays. It seems like you're not able to get close enough to where the
I would just like to be
people
a
are.
part of the community overall, because really, I mean, you know, and that's what, I had all these pages, and that's why I said I'm not gonna put you through everything, but I mean, it just has trickled from here. I mean, I've been unplugged, I've been kicked out, I've been voted out. Like, the only reason that I am still in business is because I have enough grit to keep going and push through. And so no other person, no other business owner should ever have to go through this again. You know, and I also tried to get into 2 different buildings with 2 different businesses. And I can tell you both times, the health department I had on board, the other business owners I had on board, it came down to here. It came down to the building department. The first one was over a sink. The second one was over, it was a building that had previously had a large soft serve ice cream machine in it. And I actually handed the blueprints to the person within the first week, because they said they needed to see that, to see if my tiny machine that pulls, I think, 10 watts could withstand in that building. That answer took 6 months. By that time, summer was over. Like, that shouldn't happen to anyone, to any business. I mean, I would not want to have any of your guys' jobs. I'm sure it's hard to make everyone happy, but it's more than one person we need to make happy. And also, you know, it's any small business owner, it's tough. Like, it really is tough to make it so when we have a problem come up, we should be able to come to you and you help us solve it.
Tony, you had,
Well, just a point of clarification. Currently, mobile food units are not permitted in the B2, which is the downtown area. The only place in the B2 or in the downtown area that a mobile food unit is permitted is Victory Park. That's it.
Yeah, and that's what I
In
was,
the B2.
that's what I was gonna say. I think the issue is, and I talked to you about this right after we had passed this. I was the one person that voted against it, though, even though I brought it up, is we took away the parking spot of the one truck that we had in town.
We only removed the parking in the street and from the old ordinance. But my question to you, when we talked today, was if any food vendor wanted to park, I guess in those parking slots on Main Street across from Big Ed's, like, would that be compliant with our ordinance?
No. Only in Victory Park, in the B2 district. Unless there is it says mobile food units may also operate in other areas of the city as approved by the mayor or the director of Parks and Recreation on a temporary basis, not to exceed 3 consecutive days. So I guess the mayor could grant somebody to have their mobile food unit in a parking space in the B2.
And that's what I had said, is that I think you even brought up, the mayor can get permission to. Like, well, he can, but that kind of brings us back to where we started back in 2017 or so, because the prior ordinance was the mayor gets to do whatever he wants for food trucks.
Yeah.
And he came to council.
The one that brought it to council.
Yeah, he came to council and says, I don't want to have to deal with this, which I would understand. How about you guys look into this? And we made a solution, not we, but the prior council made a solution for a problem that didn't really exist. I'm sure he had phone calls when it was Jeremy and those guys' food truck at the bowling alley lot. So they write up this ordinance and everything. We have one person operating here. I've said it to plenty of people, if I had a food truck, I wouldn't operate at Vermilion. It's a city of 10,000 people. So, we give this caveat on here, the mayor can make approvals. Well, this one specifically didn't want that issue at all, which I could understand, I get that. And here we put it right back to him. We took away the parking spot, the one person that was operating here.
Yeah, I'm trying, I'm pulling it up now, when did we pass this ordinance?
September.
9/9/24.
Yeah, 9/24. And since September of 24, we only have one vendor. I mean, there's not an interest, a huge interest in mobile food trucks that I think everybody was concerned about, right? That we're gonna be flooded with food trucks and it was gonna wipe out all the businesses.
Most trucks don't want to operate this way. And I just had a really big vision and a really big dream, and I wanted to include a lot of other things in, and I just haven't had the opportunity to do that because I'm just surviving. And I want to thrive and help other people thrive here too.
Currently, right now, you're not able to serve the visitors and the residents that come for Third Thursday, right? You'd have to park at Victory Park.
Yeah, I mean, I had asked for permission when I refilled out my application, and the answer that I had received was no.
Is there an appetite from council to put this on a committee and sort of start revising it a little bit more?
I'm always open to that.
Yeah, I mean, I would just suggest, Greg, I mean, you pretty much took the lead on the last one, getting rid of that one condition that she referenced could be started. I just want to come back with an amended ordinance and just.
Sure, the only thing I removed was parking in the street. So it still wouldn't help the district, I mean.
Yeah, in some of the discussion, as I recall, back in September when you were formulating this revision, the concern about being right downtown was the concern about being opposite existing restaurants and bricks and mortar businesses.
Sure.
I think that was why you chose to put trucks into Victory Park.
Yeah.
You know what, we enforce, and Councilman Worley is correct, there were no regulations when I first started. And I am comforted by the fact that there are some now, though I understand that they are not universally enjoyed by everyone. But if you want to make some revisions, I just ask that you keep that same thing in mind. Remember, I did a study of the downtown bricks and mortars and fed back the information, and that was what I think motivated your decision to keep these in mind.
Sure, we want to be sensitive to those businesses.
May I speak? I'm sorry.
We only have one vendor, so I can't imagine one vendor at this point putting anybody out of business.
Ms. Cairns has been the one and only consistent vendor ever since we've had an ordinance.
Yeah.
Food trucks, even when the fee was $250, and now it's much less than that. But she's been consistent, that's correct.
No one else is selling slushies and ice cream.
That's right.
And coffee.
Right.
And it makes sense when there are events, why would you be pushed to another spot? You're not gonna get people there.
Right.
And I think, I don't wanna speak for all business owners, but I think, most would agree, that would be a time to be helpful,
So-
really.
So one of your concerns was should be able to attend all events. So in section J7, we say that food trucks are prohibited from operating within permitted special events, i.e. fish festival, winter, without explicit approval from the event's organizers. So you would have to reach out to Chamber and Main Street Vermilion to get their approval, which I believe both of them are open to it. And I can expand on that later. But again, I think if you are running into issues about that, then please come to us and let us know. Please, if you're running into issues with getting approval to those events, I think you should come to us or the mayor and request, some help with that.
I think in general, for the most part, other than Willie Bear and Fish and a few random events, it's, trucks are just not at events. That I think, that should be changed, because what is it hurting? And again, I just think it has trickled down, and it's been, at this point, I have absolutely no social media. 5 years that I built, is gone, and it's gone because of, being in this town for my one time a month. I've been continually reported. If I'm seen leaving the mayor's office or anything like that, I'm reported to the point where I now have nothing. And, but that humbled me, because I went out and I introduced myself to most of the business owners in Vermilion, let them know what I'm about, what I'm trying to do in general. But I'd say, I don't think it's the majority, it's the minority of people, but I really wish that people would open their minds and their hearts. And, I know you fear things that are different, but sometimes different can be really great if you give it a chance.
I was hoping this ordinance would open it up more, because other cities are benefiting from this, businesses coming into their town. So, and I've been part of that and seen it. So.
Yes. And I'd like to do so much more. I mean, I was planning on doing things with animals. I had other things that I wanted to add in. I just have not been able to get to that place, because I just keep getting held up with this truck thing.
I think it'd be great to go and take a look.
Somebody in the audience that.
Ma'am, Ms. Brady?
Hi, Barb Brady, 3936 Edgewater. This is close to my heart. Actually, I got a little palpitation here. So 20-some years ago, Ed Reinhardt and I started Third Thursday. And the only reason, it was his idea, but he started it to protect the brick and mortar businesses in this town, and fanatically. Do you realize, we turned down the Girl Scouts selling cookies. I turned down the Cure, the Women in Pink, everybody. We didn't let anyone except the brick and mortar businesses sell at Third Thursday. And the idea was, that's why it was born in the first place. And you had the Fish Festival, you had Woolly Bear, you had every vendor in the world here. And walk down the street, those businesses, some of them are not even open during the Fish Festival. Our whole goal was the brick and mortar businesses. And so when I'm sat where you guys are, I fought like heck to stop this from happening downtown. Now, if it's Victory Park, I don't have so much problem with that. If you get away from the downtown area, I know sometimes it's hard to get into things, but when we were studying Third Thursday and when things, as time went on, I checked out Elyria and Amherst, who both have similar events. One's walking on Wednesday and the other one. Do you know where all the people were? They were gathered around the area where the food trucks were. The brick and mortar businesses were empty. Now, I'm personally, it would make me really sad if after all these years, and after Ed Reinhardt's, God rest his in peace, but put so much effort into this, to see us walk away from that. I mean, I'm sorry, but I really, it's close to my heart.
Do you think there's room to sort of blend it?
Not downtown. I mean, for one thing, our parking is so limited. If you give a food truck a parking spot, that's a person that can't come to Third Thursday. They can't spend money down there. So get them away.
I think what led us to this, though, when we started talking about it, is Third Thursday's become so big from so many people out of town. The people that live here can't even get in to get something.
Well, that's
The
true.
number of people that are coming.
Okay, so get the businesses to come outside their businesses. That's what we tried to do. Like the one places that has a stand, they sell pizza and they sell stuff. Other Old Prague had a stand where they were selling wraps outside. We can make it work, but we want our businesses to make the money. That's, like I said.
What's your thoughts about this particular business is Vermilion owned, I would say. You reside in Vermilion? Right?
Okay, do
And,
you pay property taxes?
Is there?
Income taxes? I mean, on your business.
Folks, hold on.
I'm just saying, I'm not
We gotta follow
trying.
the rules here.
Okay, all
It's
right.
one at a
Okay,
time.
I'm sorry.
So Barbie,
Yeah.
you have it.
Yeah.
If you could just hold off a
That's
second,
okay.
please.
Yeah, but
Go ahead and
yeah,
do it.
I mean,
You can't have everybody.
we have to compare. To give a parking spot downtown hurts. If you want to put them in the police department parking lot or someplace, where I can't get people, that's a different issue, but I guess I feel like you have to protect the brick and mortar businesses in this town, whatever you do, so.
And I want to be respectful
Quiet
to
after
the chamber and to those organizations that are putting a lot of time and effort into creating these events as well. But I also want to do the same for, especially someone who's local, lives in Vermilion, is providing a great service to our citizens. So hopefully we can come together as council and find that happy medium where it works for everybody.
Okay, but you're gonna set rules, and it doesn't, okay, she lives in Vermilion and is a good citizen, but you can't limit it. You can't say in your application you have to live in Vermilion, you have to be a tax-paying, you can't do
But other
that.
trucks aren't gonna come here because there's not enough money for them to sustain. The
We
only
definitely
reason I-
don't want it to go back and forth.
Yeah.
No, that's fine.
Can I just say, I need to say a few things here. I've made some notes. So first off, I get where she's coming from, and to be honest, this is actually where the stigma comes from, is from Woolly Bear and Fish Festival. I can tell you that 100%, because, and again, I don't want to speak for everyone, but most businesses, they do not prosper during that time. It's almost better for them to be closed at that time. That's not the same as some of these other events. So what is happening, which is what has happened to me, because I can tell you there actually are several other food trucks in this town that are unlicensed, that are able to operate no problem, unlike me. And I've never spoke on that because I know how hard it is, so I don't blame them for doing it. I honestly don't. But the stigma that most people have is from Woolly Bear and Fish Festival, because it's out-of-town trucks coming in, taking the money out of this town, taking it away from the businesses. That every other event. Third Thursday, the restaurants cannot withstand the amount of people that are coming in. Again, what I said, going back to what I said, what is the number of our population? Around 11,000. How many businesses do we have? What's the number? This is a solution that would provide an answer and make everyone happy without taking away from anything.
Thank you.
I think it was a good discussion. I respect both your points. And I would just ask that council put this on the next agenda and for us to discuss some ways to make this work for everybody.
I agree.
Thank you.
Did you have something, Mr. Jones? You raised your hand a minute ago.
Yeah, I just want to say something real quick, just real shortly.
fast.
Yes, sorry.
I thought you were getting
I'm just baffled by, this is a Vermilion business, right? This is a business from Vermilion. It's the only customer we have. So, that's the big thing that I see, is that At one point, what she's trying to say here maybe is that there's some liability in the city if you keep not letting her operate while other brick and mortar are treated differently, or she's treated to a different standard. So that's all I have to say. Thank you.
Nothing else? Second thing on legislative, review ordinance 2023-46 wastewater sewer rates. I asked for this to be put on. I know we've talked a lot about this in the past, and I've meandered over it, I thought about it, and kicked it around, and then a couple weeks ago when I had surgery, I had to go to Drug Mart, and there's a little old lady in front of me getting her script, and she was counting out her dollars and her change to get her script, and then by the time I hobbled back up front from my knee surgery, I watched her put 2 soups and a box of Cheerios off to the side because she couldn't afford them. And she made a reference to, fixed income and bills. So as I sat in my chair at home for 3.5 days, and not ambulatory, I just stewed on this. And however, I know that we were at one point mandated at 76,000. The EPA's come back already and said that they've agreed to entertain a phased project of some sort and all that. And these rates were negotiated at 76 million. And we're really just collecting money now to save us down the road. And at the same time, our people are suffering. School's asking for $47 million. Our rates went up tremendously. Everybody's squandering, everybody's getting swallowed up, and I think that these rates, and if I'm a betting man, I'll roll the dice here and just say that they can probably be renegotiated once we know exactly what the EPA wants out of us. So it is my opportunity right now to make a motion to repeal ordinance 2023-66, and we would revert back to 46, I'm sorry, and we would revert back to all rates as of 2022, and we can renegotiate or re-up or look at the rates later on this year, entering January of 2026. Okay?
66 too.
All of them. I want to go back to the rates we had.
22 or 23?
22.
So you want to repeal 2023-46 and 2023-66?
Yes, I do.
Okay.
That takes us back,
Back to 2022.
Yeah, we're back down to like eight or nine.
Page, it's the,
Page 2 of 2025.
I'll do that, I'm sorry. So
page 2 of 2366.
Correct?
Yeah.
No, it's 2022 38.
38.
That was passed in June
of 22, that's where you.
June 13th of 22.
Right.
Correct.
So you'd go back to the January 1st, 2025 rates. Then after that, you'd have to renegotiate.
Correct. And we'd have to do that in January anyway. So let's give some relief for now. We've collected on this since January. But that, I know it's a tough decision, but I can tell you if everybody else seen what this little old lady was feeling that day, I think everybody would be voting the same way that I am. Maybe it's not ideal, maybe it's not the right move, but we'll figure it out. We've always figured it out, and we've talked about it several times. I think the rates can be renegotiated. I think the contract that we thought we were gonna have to be mandated under is changing. It's gonna change. And that's where I stand on it. I'll open it up for any discussion that we have.
Well, you made a motion, correct?
Yes.
I will second it to open it up for discussion.
Thank you. Go ahead.
The only
I just want a second to open it up. Oh, your whole thing, you can't do that.
You have a motion without a second.
You're good.
The only concern I have is the outside city rate, and that's always been my contention with that folks outside the city, I mean, they are paying a little bit more, but I think they should be paying more than, like.
I think all of that can be renegotiated in 26, in January. But
Actually, you probably want to since because it ends in 25, you probably wanna start looking at it in October this year.
We can put it out.
Yeah, on the subject of the outside rates, that went from a 25-year contract. Last one we negotiated was back down to 5 years.
Right.
And the next one we negotiated, or will be negotiated, probably be next year, I believe, and that time it can be shortened up quite a bit and those
Okay.
rates adjusted.
That's right.
As far as the Councilman Howell's point, I suggest you just wait for some information in the Utilities Committee meeting that's relevant to this. I mean, not wait, but there will be some information in the Utilities Committee that's relevant to this.
I appreciate that.
Sorry. I mean, you know how I feel about this. I've been, the broken record, I call it. I don't know how many council meetings I've brought this up where I wasn't gonna go as dramatic. I don't mean that in a bad way, Councilman. I was looking to suspend this year's rates. And you know, we're set for another hike here in January if we don't do anything. So I'm definitely not opposed. A little concerned going all the way back. And my only concern is, and it may not stop me by any means for supporting this, is if we do have to move forward again, that may be a dramatic increase, you know, that's my concern. It all works itself out, I agree, but residents are gonna be seeing a huge sticker shock for some reason if we have to go from 23 rates, I think is what you proposed, right? All, and then
I don't think it's
six.
I don't think it'd be any more sticker shock than the 48% when we went up in January. My argument to that, if you wanna call it an argument, is the EPA, correct me if I'm wrong, Mayor, has already said, okay, we'll entertain this phased project. We're not gonna hold you to the $76 million rebuild. We don't even know at this point if 6119 is gonna go through. It sounds like it's gonna go through. It's in the court system, but that still could be 7, 10, 5 years down the road. We have no idea. I understand why we did this initially. I truly do. And I'm open and will listen and entertain anybody's thoughts on it if we adjust the rates back to what they were prior to January. I would just like to go back to where we were when we got hit with it initially. But the people in this town have got to have some relief, period. And I don't see it ending anytime soon. The only thing I'm hoping for, and we'll roll the dice on, is they give us this phase project and we can put $3, $4, $5 million on it for this 10 years, $5 million for this over a 10-year period, and slowly fix this thing. I don't think even if we rebuild our plant that way, not saying that we are, or we go 6119, it's gonna be small phases to get there. We're not uprooting ground from here to Baumhart to put a line in tomorrow.
May I ask for a change in the order? Utilities is up last, we have streets next. May we suggest utilities be moved up to right now at the end of this legislative discussion? It pertains directly to what Councilman Howell discussed.
Sure.
Yeah, can we suspend this discussion?
We have to withdraw the motion.
We have
the motion on the floor.
We have to get through the motion first.
I have a question.
Yeah.
Is there a program that these people with lower incomes can get special rates for their utilities?
That I don't know. I don't think so. I think the special program is us making it right and in whatever facet we can to give the people of this town a little bit of relief.
So is there a way for us to create a special program?
I don't believe so. I think the only way that we can create anything is by setting the rates. At the end of the day, we're gonna have to do something. Whether it's rebuild a plant, do a phase project, it's gonna cost money. But I can tell you, at least from my home, and I'm sure most everybody sitting here tonight, 5% increase or 6% increase, or hell, even 10% increase is a lot more palatable and digestible than 48%. And again, coming up in January, another big hike. And I don't make enough money to go around and make sure every little old lady in this town gets her Cheerios and soup. I'd love to do that, and I'm sure everybody up here would. But I don't make enough to fund everybody's home, And we have to do the right thing for the people. And I think that's giving them the relief in their pocketbook. This has been a rough year. Taxes, property taxes have went up, the rates have went up, the school's asking for more money. I mean, when does it end? And I know we're in a spot. And this isn't, I'm not putting it off on the administrator, this is years and years and years of kicking the can. And now we're sitting here on a jagged soup can. Go ahead.
Yeah, I mean, I understand completely where you're coming from, but I just think, made me sick, but the rate increases prepared this community for the potential of having to build a new water plant, which is, could be astronomical. I hope that doesn't have to happen. Okay, but at the end of the day, we're not gonna have any choice in whatever the EPA does. My prayers are that we can go into a different alternative, but we have an obligation to be financially ready. It could be a huge sticker shock. The EPA comes in and mandates what if they want to mandate it. There's nothing we can do about that. So we have an obligation to remain as financially prepared as we can, and it is on the backs of all of us as taxpayers. It's on our backs, and it's horrible. It was horrible when we put this in. I understand why people voted no. I understand that it's hurting people, but that's just my thought. Okay, it's just my thought.
I don't disagree with you on being financially accountable and ready, but I don't disagree with the fact either that the EPA's only got so big a clause, and if they're gonna make us do something, make us do it through the court, and we'll play hardball.
They'll win.
Sure, but maybe it takes 10 years.
No, I'm just telling you. Maybe no, maybe we won't.
All right, I'll address some of this in the Utilities Committee, whenever that's up.
I would say we have a motion on the floor, and you have an opportunity to speak. Is there any information you can share with us before we make a vote, so we can vote on this intelligently?
You know what? No, because none of it's that immediate. It's a long game. And Councilman Howell and Councilman Harry are exactly right. When we say it's a can that's been kicked down the road, it doesn't mean through negligence of our previous administrations and councils. It's because they didn't have enough money. So finally, EPA says, hey, the roulette wheel of wastewater stops on you folks here right now. And guess what? We still don't have the money. Never have. But this problem has gotten so big. So that's why I believe we are trying to think outside the box on this thing. And not just lean right into what they're suggesting and redo the plant we have, but look at options like the 6119 if and when that happens, and other options too. But either way, the first step is to get out from under the $76 million and all the raises that go along with it. And that's what I'd like to talk a little bit about the Utilities Committee. So in answer to your question, will this affect what you're gonna do? I don't know. I mean, you're not talking about doing anything tonight, you're talking about discussing it, as I understand. There's no reason why not to discuss it.
Do you wanna move up, can we move up that from utilities right in this committee?
What I was gonna suggest is if anyone's amenable to it, is for you to withdraw your current motion. We wrap this up, let him say his whole spiel here, and the two committees here from now. And then open back up the legislative committee after that. And then you can do whatever you wanna do.
I'm fine with that as long as we can reopen it.
Can we expect the recess for utilities? You're withdrawing right now?
As long as we're gonna open legislation, so I can make my motion tonight.
Yeah, you don't adjourn your meeting then?
Yep.
And you're good too?
Yeah. Yes.
Now we'll go to
All right, we'll open up utilities. And Mayor, I'm gonna hand it off to you.
What, me now? Thank you.
Yeah.
All right. As was previously discussed and has been suggested in the past, this past couple of weeks, finally, we received the lights have come back on in the US EPA, and we've got our letter authorizing us to look into an alternative to that $76 million obligation that was a result of meeting the mandate that they originally proposed, and coming back to the US EPA with an alternative proposal. Now, their letter stipulated three things. One is that we continue, the city of Vermilion continue to address the infiltration and inflow of groundwater and rainwater into the wastewater system. And that, of course, is what that $8 million is doing down in VLL, where we're getting at what we suspect to be the prime source of that problem. The second item is to begin construction on certain smaller projects in the plant, rather than commit to rehab all of it all at once. And the third is that by December 31st of 2025, we have that new alternative plan submitted to the US EPA. Now, depending on what we propose to them, all of this can stretch it out over several years instead of doing it all just by the end of 2026, which is what our current obligation is. This gives us the reprieve to come back with another plan that stretches it out over years and maybe will lead to the 6119 or some other alternative of seeing whether or not a wastewater plant is really the right thing for the future of Vermilion. And that we can spend less money by doing this over a longer period of time and having a different solution to it than we have now. But the design has to be done first, the plan, and then it has to be proposed and accepted by the US EPA. Then it has to be cost estimated, and then the refinancing and its effect on our sewer rates calculated. That will probably certainly take till the end of the year.
Yeah. Any other discussion? Anybody from the audience want to speak? Yeah, we'll close utilities then.
I was waiting. So they've given the green light to do a phased project. Is that what the administration's intending on looking at?
They've given the green light to us proposing an alternative plan, which by our estimation would include a phased project. They are aware that we're looking at a 6119 type solution, and they like that. They like the regionalization. And they understand too that the crushing cost of the $76 million commitment to a town of 10,659 is unreasonable. They've said as much. So they're open to this alternative proposal, but they want it by December 31st.
So like a lot of things in government, they understand that. They're gonna be reasonable about it. The 76 million was a big smack in the face to get our head on straight. And if we come back to them with $2 million worth of upgrades for the next couple of years and stretch this thing out, it's possible, just like it's possible that they allow for the 6119, that they go ahead and give us the green light to start fixing what we have currently.
Yeah, I would say, and I can be back second guessed by anybody, but it is possible. Absolutely, it's possible. That's the hope. I will tell you one thing though, that $76 million, which was originally estimated as the cost for compliance with the total plant rehab, if that had to be reestimated now with everything, inflation, all that stuff, we're probably looking at north of 86 million or more.
Which is even more unreasonable than the 76 million.
So it won't be that, but it'll be less. But how much less, we won't know until we get it estimated, approved, and recalculated. If, for instance, we do get the green light to join 6119, it's founded, or we have some other way of solving it in Lorain County somewhere, we would still have to run the same line down a road to get over there.
Sure.
And that is not going to be cheap. So it's going to be less than the 76, 86. God knows how big a dollar, but it's not going to be inexpensive. I think right now, how much, Finance Director, do we have collected from the increased sewer rates?
Right now, in the wastewater fund, we started this year with about $2.5 million in unencumbered cash, and that's after 2 years of the rate increases. So that accumulated about $1.5 million, $1.8 million, something like that. This year looks like somewhere $3,950,000, and that's if all of our expenses and revenues come in the same. So even at those rates seeming shouldn't use the word horrendous, but horrendous, we're still not accumulating buckets of money.
So
And somehow those other, I'm not saying that this rates are necessarily, but even at $2 million a year or $2.5 million a year of improvements, if that's even what it is, that's just throwing numbers out.
Yeah.
It's going to take a significant increase over
Take 30 years.
where we were.
Something, yeah,
right.
stretching it out.
So just my little bit of experience in government and things like this, like as long as you're making an effort, they're usually willing to work with you.
You're
So
absolutely
if it's $2 million a year for the next 30, well, it's $2 million a year for the next 30. It's better than getting, it's hard to get blood from a turnip.
As I say, it'll be less, and I hope that it's something like what you're proposing. The process we have to go through, from your experience in government, everyone's experience in government, especially big government.
Sure.
You gotta go through the steps of, the estimating, the proposal, all that stuff, which, as I say, won't take us to the end of the year. But we're on the road. That's the good news, is we got the written green light to go ahead and head down that road.
Councilman Holmes?
Sorry. So by the end of this year, we have to submit a plan, a phase plan, or?
Whatever we propose.
Okay. And if they accept it or not accept it, how does that, if they not accept it, what is that, does that take everything off the table, or is it come back and we'll see?
I would say what happens if they don't accept it, but we're gonna go positively, that we'll give them something that, based on the experience of CDM Smith, that works with them all the time, and they talk to them all the time, they'll propose something that we feel has a chance of success.
Okay.
Councilman Lucas?
My question is with regard to that letter of acceptance or willingness and anything previously, is there a hierarchy to the priority? Like, what are the priorities that need to be addressed now versus 5 years, 10 years, 20 years? Have they identified what those are?
number one. And here's why, Councilman. Let's say we do end up sending our wastewater over to 6119 or some other treatment plant outside the city. There's gonna be a big valve at Baumhart Road, and it's gonna measure what's coming out and going to be treated. And if half of it is rainwater or groundwater, our citizens are gonna be paying unnecessarily to treat stuff that shouldn't have to be treated. So getting at the I&I first, that is priority one.
If I'm not mistaken, the last time he was here, didn't he identify Alberta as being one of the primary sources of I&I?
I would have to.
There's multiple.
That was one, Vermilion on the Lake was another.
There's a good half dozen.
So we're actively working towards fixing that. I
Yes.
mean,
that's what
aggressively working. I mean, $8 million worth of work in VOL, which is a
lot of roads.
A lot of roads that are contributing to that.
Yeah, it's a lot of aqua pipes and mud and all that stuff that's gonna end up, it's been identified as the main culprit.
I think there's another hand out here somewhere.
Was there somebody? Yes, can you step up to the podium? State your name and address.
My name is Russ Owens, 5161 Fortis Drive, and thank you, Councilman Hall. My question is, it's my understanding that our engineering firm and director hired a consultant, CDM Smith, to come up with a plan regarding the $76 million plan. Is that right or no?
That's correct.
But we're talking about tying in on 6119 at some point.
Since that original mandate came down and was preliminarily estimated by CDM Smith, who was hired to solve this mandate problem for us, since then, Lorraine County has come to us and said, hey, here's another idea.
Right, and so the money that we have spent on CDM Smith as a consultant to build a new plant, is that what the agreement says? Is that the scope of work?
They're doing multiple things, they're not just doing that. They're looking at the phasing, they're
we're looking at the I&I, we're looking at the planning. So there's a lot of avenues they're looking at. Just to say they're looking at the final design, no, they're with this approval from the EPA, they're starting to look at things.
And do we know how much we spent on that work?
I don't know.
You're talking about the work being done? You mean from a
No,
design
the,
standpoint or
I mean,
construction?
CDM Smith is doing work, correct?
No.
Design services.
Well, they're doing design services.
That's what I'm saying, they're
not
doing,
building it.
yeah, their work is design.
Yeah, correct.
Right, and so we're paying them for that work. And how much have we paid them up to this point?
$2.5 million? Roughly.
Okay. And that contract goes for how long?
Till they get to compliance.
And is there any toll roads on that contract?
I'm sure it's a typical contract.
Is it possible to get a copy of that contract?
Absolutely.
Okay, that's it, thank you.
Any other questions? Councilman Worley?
Bear with me here. I'm trying to go real slow and calm, because I won't freak out hearing a lot of this nonsense, and make sure to use good language so no one tries to call decorum on me. But never mind. I don't think I can control myself. I yield it back to you.
Any other comments or discussions? Oh, Ms. Brady?
Barbara Brady, 3936 Edgewater. Just a little input. I mean, I understand what you're saying, but maybe a compromise is to take it back, this big one, this last one, the monster, take back that one and leave the others, just so we don't fall into a hole. I mean, we are paying off a $4 million bond for the VOL, which was on top of what we had before, and we've had more expenses. So we pulled it back partway. The other thing I think you need to look at is we have a whole heck of a lot of people in this city that close up for the winter. And when they come back in the spring, they're gonna expect a wastewater treatment plant to be there. You know, they turn off their water, they shut their water down, and they're not helping us pay for this thing. So I think you need to look at our shut off and turn on fees to be dramatically higher, so that those people play a part. The same thing's happening with a lot of the Airbnbs down in Viola. They're closing up for the winter. Those people aren't helping you pay for this plant. You know, they need to be players. And then at the end of the year, when we look at our out of town fees, you're gonna add those in. So maybe if you add all that together, maybe you can get somewhere close to where you need to be for the increases. Just a suggestion.
So I was also gonna suggest that, and it's your motion, it's gonna be your motion when we open back up to legislative, but I would feel a little more comfortable moving back to the January 24 rates. And if you think about it, I mean, we're cutting the big hike that we got this year, we're stopping a much bigger one next year, but I'm gonna leave that for you to decide. Councilman Howell, and I will, Brian, did you have Councilman Holmes?
Yeah, I agree that, you know, obviously it's difficult for our residents and you know, I hear it every day in my household about the rates. I don't know if we necessarily need to go back to the 22 rates, maybe the rates of January 1st, 2025.
Well, that's what we're paying right now.
That's what our current rates are.
16.4.
No, on 6/13 of 22, those rates of that ordinance. Which was ordinance
7.59.
2238.
Yeah, 2238.
Yeah.
Passed in June,
Yeah, 2238, which was passed on 6/13 of 22. Or, you know, find some happy medium between that and what we're paying now.
Kind of my.
It's up for discussion.
If I may, I'm gonna talk something slightly different than what I was gonna say earlier, so I can say that calmly here. You had mentioned the outside city rates earlier, and you had picked up the contracts, and you're talking about the outside city, which is not the contract with Erie County you're talking about, correct?
Correct.
Yeah, so your Erie County one, it expires at the end of this year. Have you started thinking about renegotiating that or anything? Because that was a claim 5 years ago, when you said this is a bad contract, Amy said it's a bad contract, Steve says bad contract, everybody on council says it's a bad contract. You said you inherited it, so I didn't make this, we need to do better next time. You guys allowed that contract to lapse, and then you just re-entered into basically the exact same contract. You amended the dates, so the bad contract that everyone agreed is a bad contract, you renewed it. Are we thinking forward here this time? At the end of this year, that 5-year contract with Erie County expires. Have you thought about renewing that, or how you're gonna do that? Because the rates for Erie County, regardless of what we do up here for rolling back the rates for the citizens, they're paying $8 and change.
Oh, I know, which was actually an improvement. They were ahead of us when we first set up the contract. They were actually paying more than the city rate until the city rates started going through the roof. So yeah, there's gonna be another contract that's gonna have to be done toward the end of this year.
You had to have known that this was coming from the EPA, that we had to do these rate increases or something to pay for some kind of treatment with the plant. And you entered into agreement with the county at those same rates.
Oh, no. I had, when we made that discussion, we had no clue that the EPA was gonna land this stuff on us, absolutely not.
I believe we did pass an ordinance that the new rate, the negotiation that you have has to be approved by council, correct?
Oh, sure.
We did pass that. Was it this council or was it?
Mixture.
I think it was, I thought it was recent.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, any of those contracts have to be approved by council.
Yeah. All right, well, I have another. No. Yeah.
One council ago, sorry.
I remember, Mr. Gabriel was part of that discussion. Well, and if I don't have any other comments or, come on up.
John Gabriel, 285 Yorktown. The only question I had, at one time we were talking about the PQM, the Phil Mariana plan in Lorraine. And I know they were underserved and they were looking for somebody to join them. And I didn't know where that had left off. That seemed like a pretty good, versus the different government entities that are involved in the regional one. The PQM, if Lorraine is looking for it and we are willing to, running a pipe to that would be a lot less than.
Oh, well, yeah, I think they all end up about the same place, which is over on Baumhart.
Right, yeah, I just didn't know what happened.
There have been several alternatives proposed, but there's a large county-wide discussion going on that includes all of those plans. And how many are gonna be in a consortium, how many are not. So that's more of a political thing that has to be settled out by Lorraine County first. One way or another, there would be somebody over there I'm hoping we can go to. If the collective consortium idea for some reason falls through, you're absolutely right. I mean, there would be some alternative.
Thank you.
All right, with that being said, I think we're gonna go ahead and close the Utilities Committee.
I'll open legislative back up. And, I don't know if I need to withdraw your current, it's good?
You can make a motion or do whatever you want to do.
Okay. Sounds like I'll get a little more traction here if I'm not so drastic. So I'm more than willing to negotiate and, try to get some relief for our people. So if going back to 22 is a big no-no, then I'm fine with amending my previous motion to reflect going back to the sewer rates as of January 1st of 2024. So the rates we were all paying a year ago before the huge increase.
I'll second that motion.
So you're amending the 2025 rates back to January 1st, 2024.
That's correct, with the intention of holding the rates that are coming in 26 for negotiation later this year.
Old rates.
we'll start talking about it in October, yes.
I second that.
If I can throw one other thought for council into this, is any change in the schedule for sending money off to meet the loan from EPA, I suggest we make sure we are on the right legal side. Kind of like if you all of a sudden slow down on payments for your house payment, you know, are we gonna get in trouble for doing that? Or is it entirely possible and we can just, you know, but I think that's just something we ought to look at in the process of considering whether or not to go forward with that.
Well, I mean, I think it lands on our desk to do that or to change that, and I mean, and really in regards to that, like, the plans changed at this point, we're not being, they've already said that they're open to looking at something else.
Right, but that's kind of separate from that, separate from the house looking level, the bank's loan.
Mm-hmm.
And that's the thing I think we want to make sure we double check. That's all, I'm not saying don't do it, just saying let's check it out.
I would say that conversation has come up several times over the last year. When I brought up the idea of changing the rates, and I think even our law director was present, and I don't think anybody said we couldn't do that. So at this point, it's been months, and I'm willing to roll the dice and vote yes, and we'll worry about it as it arises.
Go ahead.
Yeah, I would vote yes, given the new information from good people at the EPA. So I would vote yes on that. I'm willing to take that chance. It's a less moderate, lesser impact. I'm certainly want relief to go to the citizens, but we need to have as much money as we can on there. We get it. Make some people mad that you gotta have that money.
What loan is tied to this?
Pardon?
What loan is tied to this?
Those particular ones, there's a planning loan and a design loan that are with the Ohio Water Development Authority right now. And we have not expended all of the money yet. We're maybe about halfway through. Was it 6.2? Was the total, and we're about halfway through that-ish, not quite.
Halfway through the repayment?
Halfway through the borrowing of that money. So we've used about half of the available loan, about $2.5 million-ish.
Okay.
I think the intent is, once EPA's agreed to phase one construction, that money, along with the planning and design, will get all rolled together, and then one construction loan is issued to the city. And I think when they were budgeting for that, based on the 76, that's what they were using for the rate saying you need to prepare, because EPA wants to be able to make sure you can pay it back. So those planning and design loans will be rolled into that construction loan.
So, motion's on the floor, it has a second.
Just, sorry to clarify, are you going off of the rates from the current ordinance of 2346 or the previous one you had mentioned of 2248?
We're gonna revert back to, as of January 2024, which would be
$11.
2346.
2346.
Yeah, yes,
That's what I was
$11.033.
I was pretty sure, but you know the savings.
Now, how do we get this to,
You did it.
well, I know that, how do we get it into effect immediately?
I have to prepare the legislation for the May 5th meeting for first reading. And it can go by emergency if that's what council wants. If you want me to put emergency clause in, give me the reasoning for the emergency.
Well, I mean, emergencies are really about people, but I'm not gonna get some support if I get it by emergency, so just write it as.
Oh, no, I'll vote for that one. That's an emergency, in my
Do
opinion.
you have
Make it by emergency.
Do you have a reasoning? Sure.
Yeah, our people are drowning.
Health and safety of the city and for government facilities or whatever, the candy one that's on almost every single ordinance should be sufficient to the courts. I mean, how we did one where there is no emergency. What do you guys want to do? You want to hold this up or you want to get the ball rolling? We passed that 6-1 by emergency, so I think we'll be fine with whatever we put on there for an emergency.
Call it up.
Call the roll.
Holmes?
Yes.
Powell?
Yes.
Worley?
Yes.
Drew?
Yes.
West? Yes. Lucas?
Yes.
Aaron?
Yes.
Motion carried. We'll prepare legislation for May 5th.
And with that, we will close legislative.
Streets, Buildings, and Grounds Committee will come to order. There's one item on the agenda that has my name next to it. I would like to direct everybody's attention to the intersection of South and State Street. The resident, full disclosure, sits behind me in church. She's also 100 years old and is in a wheelchair. She lives at 5629 South Street. And her son and other relatives who come and pick her up and deal with her are having a very serious problem with the parking that would be on the south side of South Street, I beg your pardon, the north side of South Street, right there at the intersection of South and State. So if you're coming northbound on State Street, and it's kind of that weird intersection where you jog left to keep going up, to go towards the church. Sometimes you can't see to the left. Now, we had the same discussion a couple of years ago, probably a long time ago, it seems like yesterday. Coming down Grand and coming to Liberty, where you can't see left sometimes. And I believe we made a change in the parking. We took one parking spot off of there. All I'm asking is that we have no parking between that intersection on the north side of South, all the way to that first residence. Now, the first residence may be considered the corner one, but the next one over, you can see it's got all the ramp and landing there. But they've sent me pictures, and they can't sometimes get out. They put her in and they can't get out because there's a ton of people parking there. I think it would be unreasonable to stop the parking to the west side of her residence because there's residents there that would need it. But I don't think it's unreasonable for the east part. So that's all I'm bringing up, and you know, I'm not gonna be here. So I would ask you to consider that, maybe stop by there sometime, just look.
I brought this issue up to the city months ago. One of the options I suggested was maybe we put a handicap parking sign in the street in front of our house. I've seen other cities do that. I guess we don't have an ordinance or anything in our books that would allow that. To me, it made the most sense. That if a resident is handicapped and needed some sort of special parking in the street, I know our police department probably doesn't want to be the handicap police either, you know. But I've seen the pictures, 100 years old or not, you can't get in and out of that driveway.
Right.
So, and I see Tony's hand, and Tony and I, we've had some lengthy discussions about this house, so what do you have?
Can you repeat the address? Is it 5629?
5629 South.
Okay, so parking's actually on the south side of South Street?
Correct.
Not the north side?
Correct.
Okay.
All right. North
I
and
just
south
wanted
to
to-
me, I mean, you know.
We knew what you meant.
I just wanted to
It's on the
clarify.
map.
You're right, it's on the south side.
Okay.
I'm sorry.
Well, took away the wrong part.
No, there's no
A
parking on the
whole
north
nother
side.
one,
Exactly.
I almost
Single
screwed
lane.
up, so, okay. All right. Hold on one second. Here you go.
With no ordinance to do that, what do we need to do to draft one to put two handicap parking, the two front parking spots before the intersection, just make them handicap?
You have to amend the traffic control map and just stipulate exactly what you're doing.
I mean, if we make two, that's two spots, everybody knows then from behind, it's not gonna be an occurrence on a chief, I don't think, if we mark them properly.
Through the chair.
Go ahead.
I beg you with all my heart not to do that. If we start setting the precedent of anybody who has a handicap space in the city providing handicap parking space for anybody, you're gonna create a nightmare. I think extending maybe the no parking, put yellow out the curb. For this particular situation, we'd like to do that, I'd be supportive of it. But boy, if we start popping up handicap spaces for anybody in the city that's got a handicap placard,
You're saying block it out to where they can't park up that
Right.
way?
just whatever.
My suggestion was just no parking for that driveway.
That'd be the simplest.
City
Solves it
intersection.
too.
We still have to amend the traffic code then?
Yeah, that's what we would do. Go ahead, Mr. Ward.
Yeah, so when your email came over, I looked at the pictures and everything, and I went down there, and it's funny, my foot's almost exactly
12-inch, so I was exactly a foot. So I went out there and I walked it, because we already have, the state has a code that you can't park within 30 feet of a stop sign. Vermilion has a code, 452.0387, that you can't park within 50 feet of a stop sign. Back in 2013, they changed that. I went down there, it's funny, when I looked on Google Earth, because you can measure right there too, might be a little more my feet, I'm not sure, but the car that was on Google Earth was parked there when I went down there to do it in person, and it was illegally parked. I'm not saying go get a ticket, but there's 50 feet there, but even if you put handicap spots there, I didn't think about your logic on it. My logic was, if you put handicap spots there, what's stopping somebody else from parking there? Doesn't help this person.
It doesn't help it's also a visibility issue to me.
Yeah.
Because I've done that, so.
No, I don't think that, and now I didn't pull into their driveway and pull out, but how's that different than any other street with parking on the curbs? That there's cars parked there. I don't see how it's any different.
I think there are some streets that we can take into consideration. We've had a number of discussions, years I've been on council, certain intersections that just have busier streets. I think some streets aren't as busy, they don't create that visibility problem.
Yeah, but they're coming out used to the visibility issues to the east.
To me, it was just today,
Oh yeah, there's cars parked there, but if the visibility issues to the east, that's the, and if that's the issue, if that's where they're going to travel, it doesn't matter if there's a car parked there or not.
Well, if you're
You're
coming
not
down,
gonna-
if you're going northbound on State, and you want to do that left-hand jog, you go left and you jog right back on.
Right.
And you're looking west. I have dealt with visibility issues there. Just as we were dealing with when you're coming down Grand, making a left on Liberty, you want to be able to see, looking west. That's my opinion.
So you're saying there might be visibility, or there is a visibility issue from State Street, not necessarily so
From
much
State.
just this person's saying as well.
That's what there's two, to me, there's two. There's the visibility, and then there's a citizen who can't get out of her driveway.
And I think if cars are to park within the parking codes, we're back 50 feet from that stop sign. Yeah. And I imagine, since that car that's parked there on Google Earth was the same one that was there when I went down there today, I imagine if you hit them once, probably only take them once, but if you hit them twice with a parking ticket for that, they're probably gonna stop parking there.
I think you have to make it a roundabout. Oh, yeah. That's what I want. We already have so much money to throw at a roundabout.
I think what can be done is you can paint the curb yellow and stripe the area off from that driveway to the stop sign.
That's what I would, and I think we need to change the ordinance though. I think we need to change the ordinance.
94 feet.
Because I think there's some legit parking in front of her residence that's 50 feet away.
If it's more than the 50 feet that Councilman Worley said, then it probably would be the right move to do, would be change the.
That's what I
change the ordinance.
The traffic control map.
Yep.
So I'm making a motion to amend the traffic control map in accordance with that 50 feet on the south side of, the west side of the intersection. Any more discussion?
West?
Well, we have a citizen who would like to speak.
Sorry.
Marcia Jonas, 1347 Birch Street Drive, Vermilion. How many people on council actually has intimate information regarding that? Have they been at that intersection? I know, Drew, you said you went there. You said you'd been there. You had also, pretty much everybody?
I've been talking to Bob, I think Bob's the son, yeah.
I know a lot of times when you pass things, it doesn't seem like you were talking about pictures and everything. And I thought, surely to God, they're gonna do more than just look at pictures, because they're not really representative a lot of times of what you're looking at. And I'm bringing this on also up because I'm wanting my situation with Birchview Drive brought up at the next agenda, and I would like for all of you also, like I'm suggesting with this situation before moving forward, to come out and acquaint yourself with what's being talked about before pushing it through. As far as painting it and that, I mean, even the cost of paint and everything, if there's a law in the books that you can't park there within 50 feet, seems to me that the situation is already going to take care of itself with, like Drew said, a phone call for a ticket, 1 or 2 tickets, and I'm sure it'll stop. So that's just my piece. And if you could put Birchview on the next agenda, I'd appreciate it.
Well, it's not a committee, so she can bring it up under open to the audience.
It's, right, Yeah, you can bring it up at their next little meeting.
Okay.
Yep, go ahead, yeah.
West, Drew,
Yes.
Worley,
No.
Lucas,
Yes.
Holmes,
Yes.
Powell,
Yes.
Harris.
Yes.
Motion carried.
Okay, that concludes streets, buildings, and grounds. We will now go to our special Vermilion City Council meeting agenda. We'll begin with the pledge of allegiance, followed by a moment of reflection and silent prayer.
To the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Stand for a few more minutes if you need to. All right, go and please call the roll.
Do we want to call it again?
No, we don't. Let's move to, do we have a motion to approve the city council minute meetings of April 7th, 2025?
So moved.
Second.
Any discussion?
Holmes,
Yes.
Worley,
Yes.
Lucas,
Yes.
Drew,
Yes.
West, Powell,
Yes.
Aaron.
Yes.
Motion carried.
Now go to open to the audience. We have 4 people who have signed in. We'll begin with Marcia Jones. You stated your piece, okay? Jean Anderson, who stated her piece and left. Jennifer, you stated your piece, is that, okay? And Raymond, you stated your piece. All right, that's my kind of open to the audience. Just saying that.
Under new business, this time, motion to adjourn an executive session, to discuss personnel matters of hiring.
You making a motion?
Yep.
I'll second.
Discussion?
Lucas,
Yes.
Worley,
Yes.
Drew,
Yes.
West, Holmes.
Yes.
Powell,
Yes.
Harris.
Abstain.
Motion carried. They pause the recording and they can go to the web.
Oh yeah, by far. This was a monster session. These guys are earning it today. Rock stars. That guy right there, that guy right there. Long session, you guys. I'm just saying it's long. Yeah, you guys are doing great work though. Yeah. Yep, absolutely. Hey, I thought he was talking about
It just started, we're only a quarter in.
So Barb, thank you. Great working with you. A lot of years we worked together. Thank you. Just a change in my job. I can't, like already made, you know what I mean? So
Take and move
Totally destroyed his leg. My friend is not
thank you. We don't have any problem with that. All right, thanks, Barb. Appreciate it.
He was somebody at Metro, just what?
Are you taking off? Yes.
Yeah. Well, what if you don't have it?
Yeah, right.
That's not cool at all.
How is your brother?
Real well.
That's good.
Took him a couple marriages to get right.
Where's he at?
We'll probably still discuss.
Oh.
Which, let me make sure I'm.
And how's the business?
Far away.
It's Joe.
Yeah.
Who's opening the business?
Yeah. Yeah, you're right.
Calendar circumstances.
I know him for
Who did what? Okay.
So the purpose of a citation is resolution. So when you pull somebody over, it's a valid circumstance, make a determination of whether it is a written warning, or issuing a citation to associated, financial penalty to recreation.
I know, but I can't say for someone's.
Yes, High Bridge is a very hot spot. So there is no finite answer to your question. I've never issued a citation in my entire life. If you're doing 15 and over, I like just about every time, but there is no such thing as 9-year fine, 10-year bond.
Why was there more than one?
I mean, I'm leaving, I don't know who's gonna be next. They may have an entirely different philosophy.
You gotta go to the board of zoning.
I think it's first been done.
First shed the front yard.
There's so many different cameras could easily, because I know, because obviously we can't sit down all the time. But you're right, hybrid is a rural area. Let's be here.
Suggestion that you stop on hybrid.
Yeah, it seems to be more important.
And the more interesting thing is when they finally pave the Brown Hill Station, that'll be my number one. It'll be like, we're 100 miles an hour. You can't win when you pave a road.
You won't be here. Don't worry about it.
No, I'm gonna be sitting next to Joe with my popcorn. All right, I want to see this.
That's what I look for.
No, my wife's the director. Yeah, my wife's the director of the Lorraine Workshop.
All right, yeah, that's like probably do it.
I could make an argument for that with my kids, but
Well, we all.
yeah, I got one at Ohio State, one at Fort Hood. It's a tank room. And the other one, shot and disc, and remaining honorable certificate.
I'm just gonna say. Okay.
He wasn't quite as low as I am. Hold on, Joe. Yeah, I did. Yeah, when you sent that, did you talk to Gary?
Yeah, he gave me his card, and he said his cards were being changed. And I don't know if I have the right email address for him, but if you ever need to get hold of me, I just wanna make sure that that line is on.
Because the one thing he was asking, I never sure is pump paper. Because I make these dudes do stuff.
We settled that, we had that out.
I didn't know why it was.
I was thinking about
But the kids all got along while you were away.
Well, my wife had breast cancer. She had abdominal so we had to go through.
I just figured you deserved a vacation.
No, I wouldn't have a vacation. That was, yeah, I had to get my wife through that period, and then we're starting chemo next month, so.
Give her a
Yeah, we're getting through that. After 30 days with her, I wasn't sure what I was gonna get her first, that or the, we'll see. But she went back to work today too, so that's why I hadn't been here for a month, I had to take care of her. Yeah, so we're doing that, but,
Yeah.
I wasn't trying to avoid him, I just, I don't want to invade his privacy, and I don't want to get a hold of him.
Bug him all the time. That's what they do.
Good. I'm gonna say hi to him next time.
Okay, yes, sir. Did you talk to Bailey at all? Because Bailey lives right there on that bridge. That's his, Sean Bailey, Sergeant Bailey, just got promoted to sergeant.
Oh, he lives,
Yeah, he's right in the park.
Park, yeah. No, I don't know if it's him. I did not look. We talked to several officers last year when they were in there. And then
Well, I was sitting up on that.
we didn't talk to but we happened to be walking the day that they had the dirt bikes flying around this year.
Yeah, they were just chasing me over here, as a matter of fact, when I came over. Yeah, been terrorizing that part.
Yeah, they were flying down the bridge. What's that like?
And the one put on his brake light, I went, uh-oh. And then he hesitated, and then he drove off about that time, and also crested the hill. And pulling like this. He goes, where'd they go? I said, to the right on Brown Helm. But you know what, I can hear him, and I'll bet you they went down to where the power lines went through. And I'll bet you they shot down like that way, because they had dirt tanks.
Oh, yeah.
And they shot down Vermilion Road, we're out of there.
That's a whole area, when you get from Sunnyside all the way over, there's a nice stretch over the back there. Way
Oh,
back.
yeah.
I got 3 calls already, and it's still there.
Maybe better put it on.
Still there.
Be able to
Make sure
go after such
they
a the liability insurance that they have, whenever they get hurt.
Oh, what's that? So true. The Father's Day. Okay, thank you very much. I know where you live now, and, what's that? You know the Carters?
No.
They're down north. And they would be the ones.
North on what road? Wait.
North of Vermilion.
Okay.
Be like, almost straight across from, the sign company's, drive-through.
Okay, okay, yeah, that's, they get the.
They got a gray house.
Okay, there's a lot of houses, but a lot of them, they sit back a little,
Yeah, they sit back.
it's hard to tell,
Yeah.
but I don't actually know them.
Yeah,
I know the people straight across and and the lady, do you know Rocky?
No. I just know.
He lived in that big yellow
Oh.
house.
I just
Right
know
on
the Carters because my son and their son went to school together. And
Are you familiar?
yes, I live down on Brown Hill Station, so.
Oh, okay, yeah.
But yeah, I know the Carters.
I knew Steve Carter.
You can drink water. Yeah, so. Take a few steps. Yeah, I hope everything works.
Yeah, they did.
It's almost a hobby.
Well, see, that's, I do construction, it's physical work, and I'm just like a body wear now, I'm 66, you know, like, I can't do it. I'll tell you if I have to.
But the body
I wanted to just work from home, not have to leave my house.
save gas, save all this stuff.
Yeah, and I had so much time to do stuff, you know, so. Good. They probably get out of here. Yeah, right.
That's it.
Things were going crazy in my office, so it was 2 hours late. So I got a half package, and then,
You sent him to get some milkshakes.
and then I was able to get 3 games, even games. So I made
Sadly, no.
and then
My first job was, just goes for.
Go away and get more paper.
and then, go on from there, but it's games that don't get played.
We'll call the meeting back to,
Okay, good.
call the meeting back to orders. At this time, I'll open the floor for nominations by any member of the Vermilion City Council. No member shall nominate more than one person. Once all nominations are on the floor and are closed, the clerk will call the roll on the nominated candidates by alphabetical order by last name. For the city charter, the first member receiving 4 votes will be the next president of council as of April 30th, 2025. Should no person receive a majority vote of city council, then the mayor will proceed to make the appointment at the next city council meeting. Upon announcing the next council president, make sure you state that this person will be sworn in by the mayor and,
That's just telling you to make sure you tell.
oh, I'm sorry, yeah, I already read that part. So he'll be sworn in, whoever it may be, in the mayor's office at 8 a.m. on May 1st, 2025, 5511 Liberty Avenue.
I'll make a motion to nominate John Gabriel as the president of council to fill a vacancy as of April 30th, 2025, the term ending December 31st, 2025.
I'll second. No discussion, please call the roll.
Drew,
Yes.
Aaron,
Sting.
Holmes,
Yes.
Howe,
Yes.
Lucas,
Yes.
Worley, sorry,
Yes.
Worley, West. Motion carried.
Next, Mr. Gabriel, Congratulations and thank you. Next item on the agenda under new business is an appreciation of the service of President Council Steve Herron. And Council Clerk has asked to speak first, and then I have a few things I'll say. But Glenn, I'll go ahead and let you.
Yes, I'd first like to address Steve to recap his history. I wanted to let everyone know again that Steve has served City Council in the following capacity. In 2012 to 2013, he was Council at Large. In 2014 to 2021, he was President of Council. In 2022 to 2023, he was Council at Large. And in 2024 to current April 30th, 2025, President of Council. Steve, on behalf of Melanie and I, we would like to take a moment to express our heartfelt thanks and deepest gratitude for your almost 14 years and 7 terms of service and dedication to the residents of the city of Vermilion. Your leadership on the City Council has truly made a difference. It is clear that the community has always been at the heart of your work, and your presence on the City Council will be deeply missed. Your leadership on the City Council has made a lasting impact on our community, and your unwavering commitment to public service has not gone unnoticed. Throughout your years of service, you have shown exceptional integrity, thoughtful decision-making, and general care for the well-being for the city of Vermilion. During your time on council, you have shown both Melanie and I valuable leadership, respect, and nothing but kindness. While we say farewell in your official capacity, your legacy and the impact of your service will continue to be felt for years to come. Thank you for everything you have done for our city. We would like to personally wish you the best in your future endeavors, and we both will miss you. Okay, Steve, or Darren.
All right, and I've just written, I'll kind of echo something, or a little bit of what Glenn said. You know, Steve, when I started to talk about running for council, you know, he took the time to talk to me about it and kind of give me ins and outs of what I was getting prepared for. And I really appreciated that. So, you know, as you step away from the role of city council, I'd like to take a moment and thank you, not just for your years that you served, but for the time, leadership, and steady presence you've brought to our city government. Serving both as council at large and council president, you played a central role in guiding Vermilion through important moments of growth and change. Your sensible approach and your leadership, your calm leadership, and your dedication to the people of this city have made a lasting difference. You've always led with fairness, integrity, and a strong commitment to doing the right thing for the community. Whether navigating challenges or embracing change, you are someone your colleagues and constituents could count on. Your service has helped shape Vermilion into the place we are all proud to call home. As you move on to your new opportunities, know that your work here will not be forgotten, and that your contributions have truly mattered. We wish you all the best in your next chapter and hope you enjoy some of the well-deserved time with family, friends, and everything you love most. Congratulations, Steve.
Thank you. May I also say something? I just want to mention that not just as mayor, but as a fellow elected official. Steve and I have been elected officials together, probably 10 out of his past 14 years, I would say. We've conferred a lot. We've discussed not only in these chambers here, but occasionally by phone while puffing cigars on Saturdays to discuss upcoming issues. And have Steve and I always agreed? Absolutely not. But I will say I have never doubted Steve's integrity, his willingness to put the interests of the people above his own personal agenda. So for that, Steve, I thank you as an exemplary public servant, and we will miss you, and we'll miss people like you.
Thank you very much, Mayor. I appreciate that.
Again, I thank Steve Herron. Steve, just not as a fellow council member, but as a friend. Steve is one of the reasons why I'm here. I wanted to get involved somehow into the city that raised me, and now is currently raising my family. And Steve was definitely the person I went to, and I can't thank him enough, again, for his passion for the city, his passion for this position, and the passion for his family and his lifestyle. And he has helped me personally. Thank you. And he's helped the citizens of Vermilion, and I greatly appreciate his presence here.
Thank you, Brian.
You know what? Councilor Moore?
Steve, I appreciate you being a tremendous mentor. Oh, I'm sorry. You've been a great mentor, and you've always been very kind, and I appreciate that. And I'm gonna miss you, and maybe we'll see you around again.
Thank you.
Councilman Moore?
No, I just want to wish him the best in life and anything you choose to proceed or, go after here in the future. Good health and all that stuff. And it's my sincerest wish that I never see him on this side of the dais again. Thank you.
Anyone else? With that, I will close, or we'll move on to reading of the ordinance and resolutions.
Before I begin, I would like to note the administration has requested that ordinance 2025-29 and resolution 2025-R-7, the administration is requesting that be passed tonight. And so when we get to the discussion aspect of those, the administration would like to speak. And also, Resolution 2025-R-6 regarding the salt, that they are asking that be passed tonight as well. So we'll get to that, the discussion regarding when that's important at that time. So we're now going to reading the ordinances. I'm going to make a motion to permanently table ordinance 2025-7, which has been tabled for quite some time. Is there a second to that? Or
So moved.
All right, we have a motion. Do we have a second? I'll second it.
No, you made the motion, I
I made
think
the
Drew made
motion.
the second.
Do you want a second? Yeah. All right. Any discussion? Okay, go ahead.
Howe,
Yes.
West. Yes. Drew,
Yes.
Worley,
Yes.
Lucas,
Yes.
Holmes,
Yes.
Aaron.
Yes.
Motion carried.
This is the third reading ordinance 2025-13 and ordinance amending ordinance 2025-6 adopted March 3rd, 2025 to make appropriations for current expenditures and to amend the 2025 certificate of estimated resources for the city of Vermilion, Ohio. Motion to adopt ordinance 2025-13.
So moved.
Second.
Any discussion? Glenn?
Drew,
Yes.
Lucas,
Yes.
Howe,
Yes.
Holmes,
Yes.
Worley,
Yes.
West. Yes. Aaron.
Yes.
Motion carried.
Third reading, ordinance 2025-14, ordinance pursuant to section 1240.02, codifies ordinances of Vermilion, bringing a land use zoning variance to Raymond Cassidy in order to allow for a business use zoning variance in the A1 agricultural zoning district located at 2110 Vermilion Road, Vermilion, Ohio. Do we have a motion to adopt ordinance 2025-14?
I'll make that motion.
I'll second it. Any discussion?
Again, my concern is this opens the door for other areas in the city. I do have some concerns, again, along with some other neighbors. Although, I mean, I do not, Mr. Cassidy, I do not promote business. I'd love to have business. Just, again, some concerns. And again, I hope that you take the time, whether this passes or does not pass this evening, but if it does, take the time to really delve deep into what you're actually going to do and make sure all your ducks are in a row, whether it passes or not passes tonight.
I made some notes. I got some concerns. I'm concerned that you lack the experience to take on this type of business. And I don't know if that's council's issue. I don't know if that's my concern. It's my concern. I don't know if it's council's concern. I don't know if it should be our concern. If you lack the ability to operate a business, you indicate you've never operated this kind of business before. Having a pack of dogs, I don't know if you know what you're getting yourself into. A lot of questions about how you're going to keep the dogs. You seem a little bit unsure. Insurance.
Am I allowed to speak?
Not at this point, sir. No.
No.
So, I'm just concerned. I still, at this point, I don't know which way I'm going to vote. I've been around police dogs a significant amount of time, 27 years. Our agency I work for, we have 3. It's a lot of work. Obviously, you're bringing in people's pets, but anytime you get 4, 5, 7 dogs together, you're gonna have your hands full. I'm just concerned about that, and I'm gonna take that into consideration.
I feel that he's provided enough sufficient information and has enough of a plan to deal with 5 dogs. There are laws on the books regarding controlling your dogs, and so it appears to me that he's done a pretty good job as far as bringing the information where he is in the business. So, and as Citizen Anderson said, you know, he came in early, and I think he's doing the right thing in the process. So I commend him for it.
Yeah, and I think you did say you're looking at December.
Yes.
So, yeah. So
Any other discussion? Okay, Glenn?
Drew,
yes.
Worley,
Yes.
West, Lucas,
Yes.
Holmes,
No.
Al,
Yes.
Aaron.
Yes.
Motion carried.
Second reading ordinance 2025-15, an ordinance authorizing and directing the mayor of the city of Vermilion, Ohio to enter into a contract on behalf of said city with the township of Brown Hill, Lorraine County, Ohio, to provide fire protection for the period of July 1, 2025 through June 30, 2026. That will go to a third reading. Second reading, an ordinance to approve current replacement pages to the Vermilion codified ordinances and declaring an emergency. That will go to a third reading. Second reading, ordinance 2025-22, an ordinance to officially supplement the minimum contractual services to be performed by Bramhall Engineering and Surveying Company by virtue of ordinance 2018-5, adopted January 2nd, 2018, by authorizing professional engineering and surveying services related to the OPWC-funded Haley Street reconstruction project, describing that the firm shall be paid for additional services in accordance with the rate schedule set forth in the proposal dated January 3rd, 2018, in a total amount not to exceed $75,239. That will go to a third reading. Second reading, ordinance 2025-23, an ordinance to officially supplement the minimum contractual services to be performed by Graham Hall Engineering and Surveying Company by virtue of ordinance 2018-5, adopted January 2nd, 2018, by authorizing professional engineering and surveying services related to the Pineview Drive reconstruction project, describing that the firm shall be paid for additional services in accordance with the rate schedule set forth in the proposal dated January 3rd, 2018, in a total amount not to exceed $95,500, and declaring an emergency. That will go to a third reading. Second reading, an ordinance to officially supplement the minimum contractual services to be performed by Pram Hall Engineering and Surveying Company by virtue of ordinance 2018-5, adopted January 2nd, 2018, by authorizing professional engineering and surveying services related to the Brownhelm Station Road reconstruction project, prescribing that the firm shall be paid for additional services in accordance with the rate schedule set forth in the proposal dated January 3rd, 2018, total amount not to exceed $99,500, and declaring an emergency. That will go to a third reading. Second reading, ordinance 2025-26, an ordinance authorizing and directing the mayor of the city of Vermilion, Ohio, to enter into an agreement with Henderson Products Incorporated of Bucyrus, Ohio, for the snow and ice package for the Vermilion Street Department truck through the Sourcewell Purchasing Program. Authorizing the finance director to make payment in an amount not to exceed $138,044 and declaring an emergency. That will go to a third reading. An ordinance authorizing and directing the mayor of the city of Vermilion, Ohio, to enter into an agreement with Rush Truck Centers of Cincinnati, Ohio, for the new international truck chassis for the Vermilion Distribution Department through the Sourcewell Purchasing Program. Authorizing the finance director to make payment in an amount not to exceed $117,922.92 and declaring an emergency. That will go to a third reading. Second reading, an ordinance authorizing and directing the mayor of the city of Vermilion, Ohio, to enter into an agreement with Concord Road Equipment Manufacturing of Mentor, Ohio, for the dump body package for the Vermilion Distribution Department truck. Authorizing the finance director to make payment in an amount not to exceed $69,220.70 and declaring an emergency. That will go to a third reading. First reading, ordinance 2025-29, an ordinance authorizing the mayor of the city of Vermilion, Ohio, to enter into a contract with K.E. McCartney and Associates Incorporated of Mansfield, Ohio, to provide construction, inspection, and construction administration services for the Sunnyside Road Phase 3 project in an amount not to exceed $159,424.66 and declaring an emergency. We have a motion to suspend the rules with respect to ordinance 2025-29, declaring an emergency.
So moved.
Second.
West? Yes. Drew?
Yes.
Worley?
Yes.
Lucas?
Yes.
Holmes?
Yes.
Powell?
Yes.
Aaron?
Yes.
Motion carried.
We have a motion to adopt ordinance 2025-29 and declaring an emergency.
So moved.
Second.
Okay, so discussion for this, I'm gonna direct to
Thank
Ms.
you.
Howard.
Thank you, Council President. In February, the city posted with ODOT for request for qualifications for construction, administration, and construction inspection services for the Sunnyside Phase 3 project. 2 letters of interest were received from American Structure Point and K. McCartney and Associates. After reviewing and evaluating each LOI in accordance with the ODOT consultant selection rating form, the firm of K. McCartney was selected. Everyone has a copy of their proposal. We received it on April 4th. We couldn't get it on last week's meeting. We were waiting on ODOT authorizations. Last week you approved Buckeye for the construction. As of yesterday, or actually last week, we actually received federal authorization, so the project can start. But obviously we need to schedule a pre-con. We need our firm to provide construction administration and inspection services, so I would ask the council to approve it by emergency.
Any questions or comments from council? Questions to the administration? Thank you. Yes, Glenn, go ahead.
Holmes?
Yes.
Lucas?
Yes.
Worley?
Yes.
Drew?
Yes.
West? Powell?
Yes.
Aaron?
Yes.
Motion carried.
First reading ordinance 2025-30, an ordinance transferring funds from one appropriation to another and/or appropriating funds not heretofore appropriated. I will go to a second reading. Are we putting that on for an agenda or for a committee meeting?
It's
I
up
can't
to-
remember our
it's-
discussion.
Well, it's new, so it's up to council.
That one is to transfer the $500,000 to replace the reduction in revenue to Fund 200 with the change in the forgiveness.
Okay, there was so much discussion. I just
Yeah,
wondered
it
if
was.
anybody
That's
wanted
right. She
on.
had touched base.
Does anybody want that on per committee or we are? Okay. Now go to second reading. All right, second reading resolution 2025 R-4, resolution to approve the 2026 tax budget and certifying it to the County Budget Commission. I will go to a third reading and also be on the public hearing for council on May 5th, 2025 at 6 o'clock p.m. First reading, resolution 2025 R-6, resolution authorizing the mayor of the city of Vermilion, Ohio to enter into a participation agreement with the Ohio Department of Transportation's road salt contracts awarded in 2023 and declaring an emergency. We have a motion to suspend the rules with respect to resolution 2025 R-6 and declaring an emergency.
So moved. Second.
Drew?
Yes.
Powell?
Yes.
Holmes?
Yes.
Lucas?
Yes.
Worley?
Yes.
West? Aaron?
Yes.
Motion carried.
We have a motion to adopt resolution 2025 R-6 and declaring an emergency.
So moved.
Second.
And I'll ask the administration, what's the emergency?
Our application for salt has to be received to the ODOT by May 2nd.
Okay, thank you. Any other questions or comments from members?
I'm coming with that.
Worley?
Yes.
Drew?
Yes.
Powell?
Yes.
West? Holmes?
Yes.
Lucas?
Yes.
Aaron?
Yes.
Motion carried.
First reading resolution 2025 R-7, a resolution authorizing the mayor to prepare and submit an application to the Erie Regional Planning Commission to participate in the Metropolitan Planning Organization funding program and to execute contracts as required. Administration would like this tonight, is that correct?
Yes.
Very well. We have a motion to suspend the rules with respect to resolution 2025 R-7 and declaring emergency.
So moved. Second.
Holmes?
Yes.
Lucas?
Yes.
Powell?
Yes.
Drew?
Yes.
West? Worley?
Yes.
Aaron?
Yes.
Motion carried.
Do we have a motion to adopt resolution 2025 R-7?
So moved.
Second.
Any discussion? Yeah, go ahead, Mr. Allen.
Thank you, Council President. This resolution is an authorization to submit an application to Erie County MPO for the Surface Transportation Block Grant Program for 2029. The city will be submitting for funding for Vermilion Road Phase 4B, which is approximately 0.33 miles or 1,700 feet. If you look at the exhibit I provided you, that's the aqua blue section. It shows the previous phases that have been done, and the orange is the remaining section on Vermilion Road. If selected, the city would have a 20% local match, similar to we have for Sunnyside Road Phase 3 to all other FTA projects. The MPO has available $3.6 million. Applications are due on April 30th. So we're lobbying in to get funding for the city to run the road program. This is not till 2029, fiscal year 2029.
Any other questions, comments from council?
What was the linear feet on that?
About 1,700 feet.
Thanks.
0.33 miles. It's a reconstruction and widening. It's a level of lane.
All right, go ahead.
West? Yes. Hal?
Yes.
Drew?
Yes.
Holmes?
Yes.
Lucas?
Yes.
Marley?
Yes.
Harry?
Yes.
Motion carried.
All right. Before I announce the announcement of meeting dates, I would just like to say, first, thank you to John Gabriel for agreeing to serve. It's been my pleasure and my honor to serve on the Vermilion City Council for many years. When you go to the voting booth and you elect somebody, you're electing them to speak for you, to spend the money that you put in. You work hard and you basically trust that your property values and your welfare are going to be in hands of people who care and hopefully make the right decision. I can say everybody that I worked with up until this year, everybody that wanted a better Vermilion. It was really a wonderful experience to meet so many people and make so many friends. So I really thank everybody for that. And it's hard to say goodbye, but I do want to thank everybody. All right. Next council meeting will be May 5th, 6 o'clock p.m. and May 12th, 6 o'clock p.m. will be our committee meetings and special council meetings. Have a very happy Easter, everybody.